Hello, everybody. Testing 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Testing 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. What the heck is bothering me? What is bothering Brother Ron today? Out here in We All Be TV land, news free Dixie for the 21st century. This is Brother Ron. Hope y'all can hear me. Just testing. See if y'all can hear me. See if this working. Yeah, sound good. Look as good as it's gonna get on my low tech end side of the game. Hope all is well today. We got some things I want to talk about before I head off to the plantation to do my overseer work. And I think the title is very fitting for today's broadcast. And thank you all for joining us. And get comfortable, get your popcorn, get your hydrates, preferably water. You want to get water up. Uh, this is interesting. We're heading into a dark winter, I guess. I don't know. But before we get started, let's do some house cleaning. We all be TV house cleaning because knowledge is the currency of the universe. But even that, let me read a disclaimer. I didn't read a disclaimer last time I was on the air, but it's still the same old, same old. You know what I'm saying? Disclaimers, like I got it on the We All Be TV YouTube channel. So this is the disclaimer. The views expressed by host and guest or guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. You see how it works. So we're going to get into the show. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's a lot to talk about today. And we're going to get into it. And I'm going to do it in a reasonable amount of time. So much. Yeah. What up, everybody? Hey, greetings, amplified blessings. I hope y'all doing well in this winter discontent. You know, I was thinking about earlier this week how, what if Thomas Paine, will he be allowed to post stuff on social media if Thomas Paine was walking the earth? If Thomas Paine, the guy who published the words to the American Revolution, who helped ignite the American Revolution, that Thomas Paine, common sense, rights of man, all that stuff, will he be allowed to operate with David Walker, who wrote The Appeal? Will he be censored and deplatformed by social media today? Will Frederick Douglass, who had the North Star? Will Ida B. Wells with the free speech and headlight? Would these folks, these freedom fighters, be deplatformed and censored in this day and age of so-called of Aquarius, but really of this, like, it's strange. We live in a strange time. And everything's really upside down and right side up at the same time. I don't know what to make of it, but what I do know is that as long as I'm breathing and I got some type of inspiration in me, some motivation and some knowledge and some information to share, I'll continue to share what I know, even under these circumstances. So I want to thank everybody who's been tuning in and not just tuning out, and really, recognize this is InfoWars. But also I want to add some things I didn't get a chance to add. I did a tribute to the blues artist known as George Hunt, who became a righteous ancestor December 4th. December is a very powerful month. A lot of interesting things happen in December for Black people. I always think it's like one of those unofficial Black History months, right? You got, of course, February. That's the official Black History month. But I think about Black August. I think about Black October. I think about Black December. Hell, even Black April. Really, you get 4 months to really be the official Black History months out the year. I think it'd be suffice. But my problem is that, I wanted to do a show last night, but I was just so tired. I was drained. Coming back home, I think a lot of us ain't really that conscious, because if you was really conscious and woke, you have a lot of stuff on your mind. You understand? Like, I just can't wake up and just have like just a free day, be free, because I'm always thinking about anniversaries, about stuff that happened in our story, in our narrative as so-called Black people. I'm always thinking about, oh, on this day so and so was born, on this day so and so died, on this day this happened. See, that's always in my mind, in my mind's timeline. So I don't get the rest that I should get, because I'm always thinking about stuff like that, and thinking of that. Like yesterday marked the anniversary of the questionable death of our dear brother, the late great Alfred Skip Robinson, also known as Aziz Abdul Muhammad. That was his Muslim name when he was with the Nation of Islam. But I want to hold this book. You can get this on Amazon. It's called Untitled: Skip the Last Freedom Fighters, written by his brother James, or Jimmy Robinson. And he was from Holly Springs, Mississippi. Man was a real freedom fighter. And he died December 14th, 1986. He allegedly ran into the back of a semi, or 18-wheeler, on Highway 78 in northern Mississippi. He was airlifted to the med in Memphis, where he expired. But this man was truly a true badass. He was like you talking about Black Dynamite, you talk about Shaft, you talk about all this stuff. This brother was the real thing. He was a real superhero walking among us. This brother was known by, I think, brother Khalid Muhammad, who took his place at the mosque in Holly Springs, which I think he founded, because Mr. Farrakhan actually did his eulogy in Holly Springs, Mississippi, I believe at Rush College back in 1986 in December. So I'm sure there's some video footage. And family, we got to do a better job of telling the story of our heroes and sheroes. This brother was amazing. I'm glad his brother wrote this book about his brother. That's the Alfred Skip Robinson, as Aziz Abdul Muhammad, clean shaven brother. But he got into the movement because he wanted to find out who killed Emmett Till and kill all the folks who killed Emmett Till. But I think Khalid Muhammad called him the KKK killer, because this brother would get into shootouts with the KKK down in Holly Springs and Tupelo. He would investigate jail hangings of brothers in the jails in Mississippi. He would actually try to confront the police on police brutality as it relates to the murder of Black men. This was his brother, one-man movement, but he also had a group called the United League down in Mississippi. They said they had as many as 100,000 members at one point. That's the United League, But it's interesting, because I remember when I found out about this brother, I went down to the I.W. Wells Museum about 10 years ago. It was his good brother who's passed away about, I believe, 5 years ago. We interviewed on We All Be Radio, and the interview is available on We All Be TV. And he told me about this amazing Black man that stood up for himself and Black people. He actually ran for sheriff of Marshall County, where Holly Springs, Mississippi is located. But his thing was about liberating Black folks. So the man go all in through Mississippi, confronting the Ku Klux Klan, confronting crooked police, and really trying to get justice for Black folk. He believed in Black economics. I believe he was a contractor, so he built houses and stuff like that. So he was a carpenter like Jesus, y'all. So he was a real Black Messiah. and he was an amazing orator. Like, I also got on We All Be TV a speech he did, I believe back in the 70s at UMass up in Massachusetts, where he basically predicted the time that we are living in now. He was very prophetic. He predicted what's happening with Black folks and with the world at large right now. And he was a real Black leader. But we interviewed his grandson not too long ago. He's a good brother. He just lost his mom, who was Skip's daughter, one of Skip's daughters. And he's a good brother, come from good stock. And I just want to encourage him that he needed to, amplify his voice, because he got something to say as well. But it's interesting that we don't really know about people like him. Like I say, he's from Holly Springs. Holly Springs produced not only this brother, but I.W. Wells Barnett and Robert Church Sr., who was the first Black millionaire in the South, who was the father of the one and only Mary Church Turrell, one of the first Black women to get a college education or college degree in this country, who could speak several different languages, who was a very well-respected teacher at Dunbar High School in DC, one of the top high schools for Black folks in the country during her time. I mean, Dunbar High School produced some phenomenal people. At one point, it was known as M Street High School, where people like J.M. Europe, Yeah, James Reese Europe went to M Street High School in DC, which is now known as Dunbar. But check out the history on Dunbar High School. Amazing history. A lot of the best black schools, I mean, a lot of the best high schools or schools in the country were actually black schools during Jim Crow. That's a well hidden secret. Some of the best schools in the country were black schools during Jim Crow. A lot of people don't know that. But yeah, so he come from Holly Springs. Matter of fact, the Ida B. Wells Museum is hosted in the house that her father built for his former master. And that house is well built. Ida B. Wells' father was a master carpenter. And so that house is still standing, was built in 1858. So you ever in Holly Springs, Mississippi, go pay a visit to the Ida B. Wells Museum. It's worth the trip. But yeah, Alfred Skip Robinson is actually buried in Holly Springs, Mississippi, of course. And I would encourage you all just to get this book, get this primary source on the brother from his own brother, from his biological brother. That's Skip Robinson. But yesterday was the 24th anniversary. I mean, excuse me, 34th anniversary of him passing under mysterious circumstances. Now, he was known, he didn't sleep a lot. He was always, when they got home, according to his grandson, they would always be checking everything. They had guns everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Had guns everywhere, just checking on things, because his house got burnt down back in the day when he was doing the movement work. The people burnt down his house. Probably the Klan burned his house down. But I remember I interviewed his son, one of his children, his son, recently. And he talked about how he was driving his father and his friends home in their truck. The son was driving. I believe the son was like 16 or 17 years old. The son was driving down the highway. And all of a sudden, his father was sleeping in the back. His friends were sleeping. All of a sudden, the Klan started coming out the woods. It's like a movie. The Klan started coming out both sides of the highway from the woods. They started coming to the front of the car. They came from the back of the car. These people just surrounding them. These Klansmen in white sheets. Alfred Skip Robinson woke up, got the car, shot his gun off several times. And it's like he was Moses parting the Red Sea. They all just went back into the woods and went away, and they was able to drive without any further incident. That's Alfred Skip Robinson. Now, when I talked to some civil rights historians, a lot of them didn't know about this cat. I even talked to some movement elders. They didn't know about this cat. I'm saying, how y'all didn't know about him when he was in like newspaper articles, like in black magazines, black media? He was winning all type of awards back in the 70s and the 80s. But that's how we do. It's like what Dr. Randy Short said. We love our traitors, but we hate our heroes. We love our traitors, but hate our heroes. This is really, to me, this is sad. So when you try to do things for black folks, you're not a lot of times going to be appreciated for doing those things, not even in your lifetime, not even in your death. So I want to encourage y'all to get this book and read it. It's a quick read. It's not that long, but it's just good to know that we got to start telling our stories and reclaim the narrative. So that's Alfred Skip Robinson. And my thing is, like, I might do some more shows with some of the people who known him. I got a couple of videos on We All Be TV that we interview folks that work with him, people that had respect for him, and all that stuff. So that's available, and I'll post about that as well. But also another person I got to talk about, because his death anniversary was recent too. Let's see. And thank y'all for being patient. I hope y'all can hear me okay. I'll know soon enough. If y'all can let me know that y'all can hear me loud and clear, I appreciate the support. And I just be like running. People want to talk about, I just wish people, sometimes we so visual now, we don't even read like we should. Instead of us doing like hour and 2 hour videos, y'all could just read some of this information I present within 5 minutes and save the rest of your time doing research and and working out. And I want to encourage black folks, hit the gym, take your vitamins. I ain't saying take no vaccine. I said take the vitamins. I take about 30 vitamins and supplements every other day. So I'll take about 10 or 20, but like 30 every other day. And I'll post some of the stuff that I'll be taking. Because people don't believe me, man. I could run 5.5 miles in an hour nonstop with my mask on in the gym. And bro said, I don't believe that, brother, run, because you big and all that. I said, look, you come work out with me. Because you better run. You know what, run. Because 2021 ain't going to be no joke for black folks. And y'all Y'all want to pig out on Christmas holidays, and y'all think the government gonna take care of y'all? Yeah, the government gonna take care of y'all, right? Like it's been taking care of us for the last 400 years. They're gonna take care of y'all, right? But let me find. Well, I'm trying to find. Oh my God, this is my life is a movie for real. Let me see. Is this what I'm trying to find? Yeah, that brother, the dark skinned chocolate handsome guy. That's Marcus Jones. Y'all remember Jena Six? Cause we got a short memory as black people. Y'all remember Jena Six? Y'all remember that? How many people remember Jena Six? The Jena Six movement. That brother, that dark skinned brother, that dark handsome man, that's Marcus Jones. That's the father of Michael Bell. That's the only kid that did any prison time in the whole Jena Six thing. Y'all remember Jena Six? Thank y'all. Thank you, Sister Barbara Williams. I appreciate that from Detroit. Where your money at? Where my money at, brother? You been getting free knowledge. You say you don't donate to gospel entertainment. I've been getting y'all not only information, but it's edutaining. Give me my money, bro. Give me my money. All this stuff I did. I should be a millionaire, really. I should be a multi-millionaire. How much knowledge I give out to the people. That's Marcus Jones. He passed away December 13th, 2014. I did not find out he was dead till almost 3 years later. And he was the kid that connected me with Dick Gregory in a lot of ways. He told me, Brother Ron, you need to interview Dick Gregory. And this is the father of Michael Bell of Jena Six. You know, Jena Six was a thing where them brothers was facing a long time in prison for beating up a white boy. And it was a lot of things that happened because they had a whites only tree at the Jena High School, right down in Jena, I guess Jena, Louisiana, at Jena High School. They had a whites only tree, allegedly, that only white folks could sit under. And so some of the black students try to sit on this tree. And a lot of racial things happened. And then it culminated with these kids beating up on this white boy. I don't know if he said anything disrespectful per se, as he said and he said, but these boys were charged with some serious things. They were facing a long time in prison. And the outrage was not only were they charged like adults, but nobody got killed. So why were they given, facing all this time in prison? So it's about 2006, and they had that big march, I believe September 20th, 2007. And this is really when Facebook was really started, social media wasn't really social media yet. You had MySpace and things of that nature. And if you told me that MySpace would not be around and that Facebook would be the big thing it is today, I wouldn't have believed you. It's like when Amazon, I remember using Amazon back in 2005. You told me that Amazon will be Amazon 15 years later, this juggernaut, this monstrosity, this monopoly, I wouldn't have believed you. So MySpace was the big thing back then. In the Jena Six case, I was like one of the first people stateside to interview participants and people in the Jena Six movement. Now, that other brother, light-skinned brother, that's Tony Brown. He has a talk radio show that's very popular in Louisiana. And really, this is why black media matters. Because it was Tony Brown that was reporting all the incidents that was going on locally, that was going on in Jena before Jena became a national movement. It was him on the ground reporting to his audiences and stuff like that, and organizing the family and helping them get legal representation. That was Tony Brown doing. He's an unsung hero in that. And he was the brother who coined the phrase Jena Six. It wasn't Al Sharpton. It wasn't Michael Baston. It was that brother, Tony Brown. So you got to tell the history. This is why the shows I do are very important, because I'm putting things in context. Because all y'all care about, y'all be seeing me stuff about Cardi B and who else? This stuff about Offset and Meg Thee Stallion. This stuff is more important, because this is the history that needs to be told. This is the stuff that needs to be remembered. So Tony Brown's an unsung hero. He took a page out of the Montgomery bus boycott. So you got to understand that Dr. King, he had addressed a convention of radio DJs in Atlanta back in 1967. He talked about the importance of utilizing radio to pass along messages to the movement, the Montgomery bus boycott movement, that hey, how to utilize the black media to help organize and strategize. So our black media, our traditional black media, is selling us out, and the new black media we're doing a great job, but we need to do a better job. We need to step our game up and get away from the gossip and get more to the meat. Let's leave that junk food alone a little bit and get more to the stuff that's going to be nutritious to help us grow into human beings and help us get some self-determination. So a reason why I love this brother, like I said, he helped me reach out to Dick Gregory. He gave me Dick Gregory's contact information. I lost it at first. I got it back, and the rest is history. But he was the one that encouraged me to reach out to him. Matter of fact, one of my first Dick Gregory shows, he called in, and Dick Gregory acknowledged him. And like, it was like, like we know, yeah, we know who you are, black man. But, what sad was, this is before Me Too and all this stuff and Black Lives Matter. He had a group called Color of Change, right? It's like there was a good nature group. Color of Change was before Black Lives Matter. And Color of Change still exists today. But Color of Change was started in California by some brothers. I think Van Jones was a part of that. I interviewed a brother because it was like some controversy over donations, right? Who was receiving the donations for the Jena Six stuff, right? It's a lot of controversy because everybody was raising money for Jena Six and all that. And by the way, Ice Cube, I believe, sponsored a bus for some of the protesters to come down to Jena Six. So Ice Cube had been doing some good work behind the scenes for a long time. I just want to get a shout out. It just crossed my mind that Ice Cube sponsored some people to go to Jena. But I also think that was problematic when you had that march in Jena because you rewarding white folks for bad behavior. You are rewarding white folks for bad behavior by having a march there because what hotels you use when you was down there, whose restaurants you ate at, whose transportation did you use, excuse me. So you got to think about all this stuff. But I'm saying it was, but if there was no public response, them guys probably be in jail right now. So that's a good thing. Because even Michael Bell, he was the only one that did any so-called jail or prison time, excuse me. But he still graduated with honors from Southern University. As a matter of fact, he graduated the same month that his father died, if I'm not mistaken. He graduated from Southern University, I believe, in December of 2014. And then days later, his father got killed in crazy circumstances. He got killed crazy. And I'm just give my tribute to this brother because it's some things I want to cover. I probably got to come back tonight and do some more stuff. Thank you, brother Harold Washington, for your donation. Shout out, brother Ron Hurd on the Black CIA. Your intelligence inspires me. Let me just share this. I want to give my flowers. I know this ego. Shout out, brother Ron Hurd. I know he said head, but Hurd, whatever. On the Black CIA, your intelligence inspires me to stay motivated in the century-long war. Again, black man. Okay, shalom. Thank you, brother. So I want to thank y'all. Yeah, your donations do mean a lot because I got bills like everybody else, and I decide to pay what bills I can when I can. And you always a target, but when you do the work I do, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. People say, "Are you afraid?" I said, "I don't have enough sense to be afraid a lot of times. I'm just doing stuff thinking, hey, somebody should do it. It's the right thing to do." I don't know, man. God help me. We found another picture, brother Marcus. I think this is it. I don't want to share that really. Share something else. Yeah, but I did not realize how many people I lost this year that I was connected to, that I either interviewed or they were friends of mine. We broke bread at one time. Lost some people I didn't know I lost until I started reflecting. Cause I lost a friend of mine, a jegna of mine, Professor Garrett Duncan from Washington University. He passed away after suffering a long illness. He fought a good fight. He was a good brother. Part of the Nation of Islam at one point. He was Fruit of Islam. He actually served on the brother Khalid Muhammad, another ancestor, righteous ancestor. That actually was protection for Jesse Jackson when he was running for president back in the day. So I never took a class from Dr. Duncan, but I was just going to his office, doing his office hours. We just talked for a couple hours about life. And we just clicked. He's from the Bay Area. He was from the Bay Area, from Cali. So we were both big baseball fans. We were both big fans of Barry Bonds. Our ideal outfield of all time would be Barry Bonds, and left field, Willie Mays, center field, and Roberto Clemente, right field. They'll be the greatest outfield of all time. Y'all need to research who these guys are. Willie Mays is the godfather of Barry Bonds, Barry Lamar Bonds. To me, Barry Bonds was the greatest baseball player. They cheated him, and it's an insult because Barry Bonds had at least 3 more good years of productivity left in his career, and they blackballed him from Major League Baseball on some BS. Like he committed a crime. He did not commit any crimes. They just wanted to break the man because he was too proud, too strong. And that's why the curse is that baseball home run record gonna stand for a long time. Ain't nobody getting close to them home runs. Because Barry Bonds, to me, with Barry Bonds, like you walked him so much that even if he took a lot of steroids, y'all walked him so much that he didn't get all the home runs he could have got. I think Barry Bonds got the most intentional walks in Major League history. I think he got the most walks of all time, but they walked him so much so even if he took the steroids, it balanced out. But he didn't take no steroid. He just took some stuff they didn't know about. It's stuff that these athletes are using now that nobody knows about outside of their trainers and their circle. So it's always about cheating. Baseball is built on cheating, right? You kept black folks from playing for decades in baseball. So even you look at somebody like Babe Ruth or Lou Gehrig or Ty Cobb, those records not really fair. They're not really real to me because you didn't play against the best of your generation. Like Ted Williams, the great Ted Williams even felt cheated. He said, I didn't play a lot of my career against black people. You talk about Babe Ruth. They asked Babe Ruth who was the greatest baseball player. He said it was a guy named John Henry Pop Lloyd, a black man, a shortstop. They called him the Black Honus Wagner. And when Honus Wagner, who was a shortstop, the great shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates, when he was told that they called him the Black Honus Wagner said it was an honor to be compared to that guy. Because Babe Ruth said he was the greatest. This shortstop that played up in New Jersey named John Henry Pop Lloyd. I believe that's his name. Y'all can correct me because y'all love to correct a black man. But then they asked Joe DiMaggio, who was the greatest pitcher. That's the Yankee Clipper. There's a champion, used to be married to Marilyn Monroe and all that stuff. They asked him who was the greatest pitcher he ever faced. He said it was Satchel Paige. And by the time he probably faced Satchel Paige probably was 40-something or 50 years old. Like that skid in the barbershop from Coming to America. Satchel Paige was 78 years old. He was 78 years old when he faced Joe DiMaggio. Some shit like that. I don't know. Some stuff like that. I said some stuff. But let me talk about our good brother. I can find that picture I want. Yeah, it's free to Jena Six. Y'all remember Jena Six? Okay. Let me put up. So I'm close to it. See, I'm still trying to learn how to navigate. I be having a lot of tabs and stuff open. One day I'm gonna get an assistant to help me out with this stuff. Is this the tab? Okay, it's Tony Brown, me, and the late great Marcus Jones. What time is it? I got enough time. You're gonna get this right. It gotta be a 2-hour thing. And I got a lot of information to share. Maybe I'm gonna just stop doing all this extra stuff and just talk and let y'all do the research. You're gonna start doing that. I can't get through this enough. I'll just leave it on that one because that's actually at Washington University. I was asked to be the MC for the Deltas and hosting Marcus Jones and brother Tony Brown to talk about the Jena Six situation. This is back in 2007. You had a couple of presidential candidates in town, like Dennis Kucinich wanted to speak, but the Deltas did not want to make it a political event in that sense. So I was the MC. I wish I recorded it. Hindsight, it should have been recorded. But I got hours of interviews with brother Marcus Jones and brother Tony Brown from that time period. So I'm gonna start posting that stuff on my We All Be TV channel to make it more accessible to the people. And also, I had a chance to interview Marcus Jones's mom, I hope she's doing okay. I might have to call and check in on her down in Jena. I believe she's in her 90s now. If I'm not mistaken, either late 80s or early 90s. Marcus was a late baby, but she loved that son. She said he was the greatest thing she ever created. That black man named Marcus Jones. So I interviewed her about her son, because Marcus Jones died trying to help people as usual. he was on his way to do a some type of big thing for the homeless, to feed the homeless, right? He was gathering resources and supplies to feed the homeless. So he's on his way to do a big thing for the homeless, to serve the homeless. He just came from New Orleans, and so he wanted to serve the people in his community, the homeless. And he was in the back of his friend's truck on the highway near Jena, and somehow he fell off the truck and got ran over by a car. This is back December 13th, 2014. I didn't find out about this until Dick Gregory died. I found out about this in September of 2017. I believe it was September 27th. I found out he died. Or maybe I found out in that August. I don't know, but it's just crazy. But I just want to share with y'all what I've been thinking about him. I am thinking about my dear brother, the late great Marcus Jones, proud and outspoken father of Michael Bell, member of the Jena Six, aka this generation's Scottsboro Boys, and Central Park Five. On December 13th, 2014, we lost a truly beautiful soldier under suspect circumstances. According to a report the day after in the Jena Town Talk, a Jena man helping a friend move some wooden pallets died Saturday afternoon on Louisiana Highway 8, according to Louisiana State Police. Marcus W. Jones, 43, died in the incident, although troopers aren't sure exactly how yet. Around 5:41 p.m., troopers responded to a crash on Louisiana 8 after a 2007 Chevrolet pickup truck driven by 22-year-old Brittany Walker of Jena struck Jones, who was lying in the eastbound lane. Walker tried to avoid hitting Jones, who was wearing a black jacket and black pants, reads the release. A friend of Jones's arrived at the scene, telling troopers that Jones had been helping him move wooden pallets. Jones had been standing in the bed of the friend's pickup truck, holding down the pallets, according to the release. The friend said that when he arrived at his destination, Jones no longer was in the truck. The friend had been retracing his path, searching for Jones when he came upon the scene. Just 43 years young, with so much more living to do, he died the way that he lived, helping someone in need. He was the one who suggested that I reach out to Dick Gregory and start interviewing him. He gave me Baba's contact info. I did not realize he transitioned as an ancestor until after Baba's passing in 2017. See how it works? I am glad to know that he was able to see his son, Michael Bell, the only Jena Six defendant to serve any prison time, graduate with honors from Southern University just days before he was killed. Brother Marcus was a true stand-up working class guy who did not bite his tongue for no one. He was both crucified and character assassinated in the mainstream media for his uncompromising and outspoken nature. He was also portrayed by the media as being brutish and disrespectful towards women. They Me Too'd him over BS and used black women to try to discredit him. The real reason for the negative media portrayal was that he was unapologetically too honest, too black, and too masculine for a primetime man. The man sincerely wanted justice for not only his son, but also for black people worldwide. When his son got in trouble, they literally uprooted his life in Dallas, Texas. He literally, uprooted his life in Dallas, Texas to go back home to fight the good fight for his son in Jena, Louisiana. Towards the end, he felt betrayed by some of those he thought had the best interests of his son at heart. In doing my God work, I know that feeling all too well, man. I miss you, Brother Marcus. I thank you for fighting and sacrificing for us. I thank you for your brotherhood in the front lines of the righteous struggle. I will never forget you, my dear brother. You were so misunderstood, but the universe, so God knows, man. I will honor your memory and make sure that the world will remember you as a righteous ancestor. We love you madly. So that's my tribute to our brother Marcus. It's a good brother, man. And like I said, they utilize black women to bring them down. Uh, that's a story in itself. I mean, not knocking all the sisters, but y'all got power. Y'all just don't appreciate. Be honest with y'all, because quite frankly, you know, people have been looking at some of the last videos. I'll be reading y'all comments in the comment section. Y'all talking about black men need to be more disciplined. Black men need to stand up, and y'all blaming black women. I'm gonna tell you something. It's a black women that's raising these boys to be men. So they're gonna if y'all saying black woman is God, if y'all saying that, then God must be held accountable. So God, you know, if you picking men, they're not men. If you picking males to make men, this is what we're getting right now as a people. So even right now, who's the face of the stuff? You know what I'm talking about. Who got it first? They put a black woman on display for the world to see, a so-called black nurse on display, right? Or a healthcare worker. I don't know if she was a nurse or not, but she was one to get the first stuff, right? You know, that stuff they shooting you up with for that cold or the corona or rona. They put on display, and it might not even been the real thing, because you can't trust your lying eyes in this day and age. In this day and age, you cannot trust your lying eyes. They could have been as a placebo, because they what they do in trials like that. You know, they have the actual thing, and then they have the placebo, excuse me. So you don't even know if that was the real stuff they gave her, the real package. But we so emotional, we don't think. People trying to call you and stuff. I'm on the show. Jesus Christ. People call nothing. I'm really much of a monk. Let me see. I got a couple of screens open. But you think about Nurse Rivers, right? Y'all familiar with Nurse Rivers, right? This stuff bugging my ear. Nurse Rivers, Eunice Rivers. Y'all familiar with the Tuskegee experiment, the syphilis experiment? This sister was over that, you know, Tuskegee experiment from 1932, and I believe to 1972. That thing was going on. And she was a black woman. She actually went to school at Tuskegee Institute, graduated from Tuskegee Institute. And that's another black woman that sold us out. So when people always talking about protect black women, how can you protect black women if they don't protect us? The woman is the first teacher and nurturer of the child. So, you know, people talking about the black men are out of order, but who raised the black men? Are they really men? The feminization of the black male is real. So you got to think about slavery times. Well, I don't want him to, you know, get in trouble. I want him to help my kids and help my grandkids and keep us going. So you teach your male not to be a man to stand up for something. It's like what Judge Joe Brown talked about, the Spartan mother. Like she encouraged her son to be a warrior and to die, not only to fight, but also to die for something. A lot of us don't encourage our men to do anything. You know, every time I encounters, I'm dealing with people in so-called gatekeeping positions. A lot of times they black women. Like even my housing situation, nothing but black women I deal with. I have all type of headaches. Dealing with black women trying to fix this right, fix my cabinet door correctly, or just do this right. I'm dealing with black women. IRS, nothing but black women I've been dealing with, young and old, at every level in the IRS, right? If you go get an EBT card, food stamps, you're dealing with black women. Sometimes in law enforcement, black women. So black women have gatekeeping powers that we got to be honest about. And then I'm in Memphis, majority black town, people just calling me Jesus. Nobody don't really love me like that. Just call me. But I'm in Memphis. Every day I go to the gas station or to a restaurant, I see nothing but broken black males, young and old, black men broken, young guys broken, old guys broken, gas station begging for money for a chicken dinner or something. I mean, just you can see it in their eyes, man. It's pathetic. Our men are so we at a low point right now. We at a nadir for black manhood right now. We are at a nadir for black manhood. I just show you Marcus Jones was a man. That man came back to defend his son and to stand for black people. He said, I don't want my son, Brother Ron, I don't want his prison time to be in vain. I want us to take it to the court. He wanted this to go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court to free not only his son. He said, Brother Ron, it's not just about my son. It's about black people being free. And you got all these Negroes and Boule folks compromising black folks every generation just for a paycheck, just for a pat on the head position. You got brothers like him that die young. Think about Ferguson, King D. Seals. He exposed Black Lives Matter. He exposed them. He exposed black lesbian Marxists. He exposed them on the ground. And what happened to him? Shot up and burnt up in his car. He should be representing Ferguson or St. Louis in Congress. Where are the black men leaders in their 30s and 40s? Where they at? Y'all keep on talking about, no disrespect, but y'all keep on talking about Farrakhan. Farrakhan almost 90 years old. No disrespect. Why are the black men in their 30s and 40s stand up for stuff? Where they at? The Black Democratic Party, are they just women of color? Nothing but women of color. Where are the men of color, the men of distinction? Where they at? You got Warnock running down there in Georgia. He ain't no Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Have you been down to Ebenezer lately? You see all that stuff outside of Ebenezer? Homelessness, despair. And Dr. King gave his life for sanitation workers and for the poor people campaign and for the redistribution of wealth. You are a successor to that legacy? When you go outside the Ebenezer Church and the King Center, all them homeless folks doing all type of strange things and for change and stuff like that. No. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was a minister at Abyssinia, same one that Calvin Butts is presiding over. Calvin Butts and Warnock should not be representing the legacies of these great black men. Yeah, they were flawed, but they did things for the people. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was our greatest politician ever. He was the GOAT. You understand? He went to Congress and got the job done. It was him who created the money. He helped create affirmative action. If it was processed and used the right way, we'll be far ahead right now as a people. But he helped create the money for the National Endowment for the Arts. He was really the mastermind behind Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society program. I mean, he was passing all type of legislation, man. He was doing boycotts in the 30s, man. Dr. King was a little kid in short pants. Al Clayton Powell Jr. was doing boycotting and stuff back in the 30s, getting black folks jobs at department stores and stuff like that, boycotting transportation, things of that nature. Calvin Butts is not Adam Clayton Powell Jr. This Warnock character is not Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But yet, what Dr. Randy Short says, we love our traitors and hate our heroes. So thank y'all. I you get off script, but here's the thing: black women, come on, let's be honest about our situation. Thank you, Sheila Wade, for your donation on the Cash App. For we love you, Brother Ron. Keep doing the good work. Thank you, Sister Sheila, and we love you madly. But black women, they say y'all God. Be a God. Be accountable for the community. Why do you need protection if you the God? So we got to start getting deep into this, because I'm not even, let's talk about this Eunice Rivers lady, right? So we got the black woman representing the face of vaccination. You got a black woman that created this vaccination. Her name is Kizzy. You know, and you know how appropriate that is for her to be named Kizzy? You know, y'all remember Kizzy from Roots, right? Y'all remember Kizzy? She was well educated. She could read and write. She can read and write. She was well, but still she was not respected by white society. Yeah, she could read and write. She got a lover man, Noah, helped him escape. Wrote up some fake traveling papers. Gave him fake traveling pass because she wrote it. And once they, then he got caught. Got beat up to an inch of his life. Then he snitched on her. And then you know what happened? Miss Ann, her white friend, did not protect her. She got sent up the river to another plantation. That's Chicken George mama. That's Kizzy. And Kizzy was raped by a new master who was Chicken George's father. And you know, Dr. Kizzy said she want a white man, didn't she? In her social media tweets. Did she say she prefer a Kevin or a Ken? She want a Ken? A surfer boy Ken? I can't make this stuff up, but her nickname is Kizzy. Ain't no disrespect to the doctor. I mean, she's well educated. But is she in service of her people? Is she the new Eunice Rivers? This is the question folks should ask, because Eunice Rivers was well educated. Some people thought she was well intentioned, but yet she allowed a lot of good men to not only die and suffer, but also pass along their illness to their family. So she not only affected those men, it affected their families for generations, like Agent Orange. Like them soldiers in Vietnam exposed to Agent Orange, it not only affected them, it affected their seeds. So that stuff is passed on from generation to generation. Just like in Flint, that lead in the water, people getting Legionnaire's disease, them kids getting that disease. See, lead affects your behavior. So you wonder why black folks act crazy in Chicago and in Flint and Memphis. It might be too much lead or fluoride and stuff in the water. You ever thought about that? All this stuff is about controlling you. This, even with this election, you know, if you look at the lamestream, fake news, whatever, you see a whole alternative world. But if I'm looking at, you know, alternative media, I'm seeing another narrative. So you got to meet somewhere in the middle with this thing. But are you consuming this junk food all the day, junk in and junk out? You know, so let's talk about this Eunice Rivers lady, right? Let's talk about her. You know about Dr. Kizzy, but that name is so appropriate. And black women are being used to bamboozle the black race and mislead the black race. This is not Brother Ron saying that. The truth is out there. You see, who's the face of this vaccination stuff, right? Black women. Who's the face of voter fraud or voter stuff, voter empowerment? Y'all call it voter empowerment, but other folks call it the fraud. Black women. Single black women. Angry black women. But black women. Like that woman up in Michigan, that Cynthia Johnson, the nerve of her to threaten people. You need to sit yourself down somewhere. You want to threaten folk because they voted a certain way. I had a childhood minister. I believe he unfriended me on Facebook because I voted for Trump. He basically said that anybody vote for Trump are some of the stupidest people on the planet. And I don't disrespect him for having a different political point of view. But I just think you a Trump if you vote for a party that don't promise you anything. You know, Joe Biden on that phone call with them so-called civil rights leaders, the Boule black leadership, he was gorilla pimping them. I'm from Memphis. I know what a gorilla pimp is. Joe Biden gorilla pimping, man. Calvin Candy style. They're like they was on the Candyland plantation. Now, I tell you another thing. I'm not doing your cotton picking damn thing for you Niagaras. You do what I say, huh? You know, he was mumbling and stammering, but he got to addressing black folks. Said, to hell with y'all Niagaras. You do what I tell you. Do you understand? So you gotta understand something. Y'all don't understand. Biden, Jegna, or mentor. It's called mentor because like Biden's into that type of stuff. You know what mentor really means, right? And Biden definitely embodies that. But Joe Biden's guy was James Eastland. You know, y'all talked about George Wallace and Strom Thurmond and Robert Byrd. Yeah, okay, but it was Eastland. You know, Malcolm X made it a point in the last 2 years of his life to talk about the Democratic Party and who really ran the Democratic Party as far as policy. He said it was James Eastland from Mississippi. The senator from Mississippi set the policy for the Democrats nationally. Eastland. And Malcolm dedicated a couple of speeches to addressing the Mississippi delegation who ran the Democratic Party, the Dixiecrats. And that was Joe Biden's mentor. He campaigned for Joe Biden. He learned at his feet. See, James Eastland was interesting because he helped Emmett Till's killers get off, the brothers Roy Brown and J.W. Malum, because they got off with a murder charge, right? But they also were facing kidnapping charges. So he leaked to the press information on Emmett Till's father being killed by the U.S. Army for allegedly raping and killing white women overseas. He didn't get a fair trial because the only way they could identify Emmett Till's body was by the ring his mom gave him that belonged to his father with the initials LT on it. So Eastland leaked that information to the press and they ran with it. He's like, okay, well, maybe Emmett Till deserved what he got because the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. So Eastland, because for years the family had been trying to get information on what happened to Louis Till overseas during World War II. So, and also Eastland had a goon squad. You gotta understand. Look at that documentary, Spies of Mississippi, that was created by Don Porter, and it featured my friend, the late great sister Margaret Block, who passed away 5 years ago. She was a good friend of mine, and her brother was a prominent civil rights icon in his own right. Sam Block, who was the field secretary for the SNCC in northern Mississippi. But their uncle was a prominent educator who was a spy for the Mississippi Sovereignty Commission. These are the folks that were spying on Medgar Evers that helped get Medgar Evers killed. Her uncle was involved in that type of stuff for the Mississippi Sovereignty Commission. So Eastland gave money to that, which really was the Mississippi government, and also the White Citizen Council. You were both parts of the Mississippi government, the White Citizen Council and the Mississippi Sovereignty Commission. And Eastland had a goon squad that do things for him, like, take care of, put their work in. Like this guy named Preacher Killen, Edgar Ray Killen, the only one held responsible really for the death of those 3 civil rights workers, Swerner, Cheney, and Goodman. They call it Mississippi burning case. He died, I believe, in 2018, and he was sent to prison in 2005. And he said he used to do that work for Eastland. That Eastland was his father figure. He used to put in that work, killing folks. And also, you got to think about in 1980, the Neshoba County Fair, where Reagan accepted, the nomination for president of the United States on behalf of the Republican Party now. And Reagan was sitting out them cold words in his speech talking about states' rights, states' rights, states' rights, right? His campaign strategist was Lee Atwater, who trained Karl Rove, who was the campaign manager for George W. Bush. And he said, you got to replace saying the N-word with states' rights, states' rights, states' rights. You got to use coded language. And Joe Biden was doing that back in the 70s and stuff, where he was against the busing and all that. And he didn't want his kids to go to school in a jungle, right? So he learned all that stuff from people like Eastland. James Eastland, look him and research him. That really was the head cracker in charge, right? Cracking that whip, So Biden is interesting. He didn't promise anything to any black person. Then you got Black Lives Matter or Black Lesbian Marxists, or whatever, Black Lives Matter. They tell me it's been 32 days. You haven't met with us. And all. Why should he meet with y'all? Why should he respect any one of y'all? It's like when NACP disrespected Charles Evans this year, but not giving a press release on his passing. Derrick Johnson got treated like the child he is. Excuse me. I met Derrick Johnson a couple of times. He's like a decent fellow. He's originally from Detroit, from my understanding, but he went to school. He went to college down in Mississippi. So he was the president of the state Mississippi NACP before he became the national president. And actually, he researched a case our news broke maybe about 9 years ago about this white lawyer whose daddy was one of the lawyers for the killers in the Emmett Till case. This white lawyer named John Whitten III was chasing around this black man, this young black kid, in a tank. And he had a K9 unit from Parchment Penitentiary, and they had some machine guns chasing this one black dude in Tallahatchie County. I didn't know it was real or not. It was my friend Margaret Block that called me on a Saturday back in 2011. I think it was August, or it's either August or September. She said, Ron, I got a story to tell you. I said, Ron, I got a story to tell you. I said, what story? It's about this black man being chased with a tank, machine guns, and a K9 unit from Parchment Penitentiary. Now, Parchment Penitentiary is where Stokely Carmichael, known as Kwame Ture as well, and the other freedom riders were put in prison at. It's a notorious prison. It's a notorious prison. It's a tough prison. I said, so when this happened? Back in the 50s? Nah, motherfucker, it happened last Thursday. Ah. I think it was Thursday. But so I called around. I called a local news channel, news station down there, and the producer answered the phone on that Sunday, and she asked me, okay, I told her about what I heard. Now, she asked me what I heard about this situation. I told her, she says all true. She said, matter of fact, we went to the property of John Whitten III and found out he had cannons and everything on his property. He was a big Civil War buff. So he had actual cannons and stuff like that on his property. I said, y'all got the footage? He said, yeah, and we're going to send it over to Nightline. I guess the ABC News, what they parent company, well, you know how it works. So they supposed to send the footage to Nightline for them to do a national story on what happened in Tallahatchie County, and it never came out. And I talked to the father of the young black man who got chased on that Sunday, and he was meeting with Benny Thompson and the FBI. His name, Lawyer Pittman, and unfortunately, he got killed a couple years ago in his office by a disgruntled, I don't want to say employee, but a person he did contracting work with. Like he contracted this guy to build his dream home, and they had some disagreements. And so the guy actually came to his office, or he was in the office of somebody in Clarksdale, and shot him to death. And that was just a couple years ago. So I interviewed the father a couple times, and I interviewed Margaret Block, and I had, I did this on my Blog Talk radio show. Had a whole bunch of people calling in from Tallahatchie County, from Mississippi, around the country to talk about this John Wooden III guy. Because, he went down to Biloxi in the Katrina aftermath with a militia. And the sheriff and law enforcement said, we don't need your type of help. Y'all go back up to where y'all came from now. You hear? Because you come down there with guns and stuff, and we're going to deal with these people. And so even the sheriff down there in Biloxi, go back to the Delta, man. We don't need this type of trouble down in Biloxi after this Katrina thing. So I wrote a press release on it. And I had newspaper officers from Mississippi call me and said, man, you're very brave for doing that, because what I would think was, I didn't see no story come out on Nightline like she said it was going to come out on. And the thing about John Wooden III, he was very protected. He was a white supremacist, or he is a white supremacist as far as I'm concerned. He actually was a lawyer for the city of Tutwiler, a predominantly black town. He also was on the Chamber of Commerce in Greenville, Mississippi, I believe. So he had a lot of power. And then one of his cousins, Jamie Whitten, was one of the longest serving U.S. congressmen in history. So he had a lot of insulation around him and protection. So my thing was, I didn't see no story come out on it. I couldn't find nothing in my Google searches. So I said, what would the ancestor Ida Wells do? So I wrote a press release, put it out there. Then I did a couple of shows on my Blog Talk radio platform. Like I said, featuring the attorney Pittman and my friend Margaret Block, and had people call in from around the country to talk about their horror stories from that area of Mississippi. So what Derek Johnson did, him and the state NACP went with a local Jackson newspaper to investigate what happened on their own. And the Jackson newspaper, I think they called the Jackson Advocate, they wrote a story. Basically, everything I said in my press release, they validated it. So I wasn't sued, because one of the editors of these newspapers down in Mississippi said, you're a brave man. You might get sued for this. And I said, I think the truth is on my side. And even if I get sued, if it could bring attention to the injustice, that what really matters. So the NACP, the state NACP of Mississippi, and the newspaper in Jackson validated what I said. So when I met him, he said, oh yeah, you brother Run from We All Be. I know you. This is the same time I met Ben Jealous, because they had a Freedom Summer conference down at Tougaloo College back in 2014. So yeah, Julian Bond. I met Julian Bond for the last time. Then the next year he was dead. See, a lot of the elders from the movement was down there at Tougaloo College. Bob Dylan used to love black women, man. Bob Dylan has a thing for black women. One of the black women he would mess around with was a friend of mine. I got to call her. Her name is Sister Dory Ladner. Dory Ladner. She's a great freedom fighter, brilliant woman. She used to work with Medgar Evers back in the day before he was assassinated. She went to Tougaloo College. But Bob Dylan would go down to Tougaloo College down there near Jackson, Mississippi, just to be with her. He wrote love songs about her. He wrote a couple of songs. I think he wrote one song in particular that was about her. So a lot of people don't know Bob Dylan was into black women. He's into sisters like that. But Dory is an interesting woman, man. She's just a spark plug of a woman. And I gotta talk. I gotta check in and see how she's doing. I'm glad I thought about Sister Dory. I gotta have her on the show. But Derek said, oh yeah, We All Be. Okay, I know you are there. We did that thing. Yeah. So, but now to hear him on this thing with Joe Biden, he got no bass in his voice. Just all compliant. I just don't know, sir. I don't know. Sound like Step and Fetch It. I don't know, sir. I can't, Mr. Biden. Okay. See, the thing about it, I would never mistake Derek Johnson for Roy Wilkins. I met Mark Morial several times. I met him at my cousin's funeral recently in St. Louis. James Buford, he was the former president of the Urban League up in St. Louis. He died last year, but they had his funeral in January. So Mark Morial did some words. I met him a couple of times. Mark Morial is a cool guy as far as like he's approachable. You tell he could, he's a people person, but is he a great leader? No, he's not a great leader, but he know how to keep himself employed to make all that money at the Urban League. I would never mistake Mark Morial for Whitney Young. See, like what Dr. Short said, we love our traitors, but we hate our heroes. Whitney Young was a great man. I know people got a problem with him, but the brother got it done. He got money from Lyndon B. Johnson, and he got more money from Richard Nixon for black people. He was all about B1, but he did it his way. He said, we need some black folks in the boardroom as well as on the streets. He said, I can't get in the gutter with you, but I can have a hand to help you out the gutter. I'm not going to get in the gutter with you, but let me extend my hand to help you get out the gutter, brother or sister. That was Whitney Young. He did a lot for black people. As problematic, I mean, these were men. Yeah, they had to play the game, but they understood that they had to do something for black people. And Whitney Young was killed crazy. He died drowned in the ocean off of Nigeria. It's off the coast of Nigeria, I believe. I think this was 71. Y'all can look at all this. I can't do all this looking up. And I believe his niece did a documentary about him several years ago. If you could find it, it's worth checking out. He died drowning on vacation. And Richard Nixon did his eulogy. But the man was a great man. But how many people talk about Whitney Young today? You might know him as a name of a high school in Chicago or something. I don't know. But Whitney Young did a lot of great things for black people. He tried. So you never mistake these guys that was on the phone with Biden and Zoom call as these type of leaders. Malcolm was critical of Whitney Young and Roy Wilkins and Dr. King and A. Philip Randolph and Snick. But, he had respect in a way. Listen to Malcolm X's one of his last speeches he ever did in life called Prospects for Freedom. Where he talked about how, by him being on the scene, it made the white folks want to deal with Roy Wilkins and Whitney Young and Dr. King. You know what I'm saying? Like, Malcolm overstood so much. But also Malcolm said, why are we voting at almost 100% for Democrats? He was saying this back in 1965. He said, we're the only group of people that think like this in the world. What have they done for us to be allowed this loyalty from us, to receive this type of loyalty? How is it that Joe Biden, a white supremacist, neo-Dixiecrat, could be comfortable in telling Charlemagne the God that if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black, Niagara. Who is Lyndon B. Johnson? I'm going to have them voting for Democrat for 100 years. Niagara. Joe Biden is feeling himself. Calvin Candy. Y'all better hope they ain't going to give this to him. Y'all better hope, black folks, because we already going to catch some hell. Who voted for more lockdown and destruction of small businesses and force V's? Who voted for this? Not I. I remember I talked to one of my coworkers. I'm a supervisor on the plantation, the overseer, and we started talking politics. And this is a brother that been to jail. Yeah, he told me, I voted for Biden Harris. I voted for Biden Harris. I said, okay. He asked me what I voted for. I said, I voted for Trump. You vote for Trump? I said, yeah. Why you vote for Biden Harris? The mass incarceration ticket. You've been to prison, bro. You know that Kamala Harris will hold them brothers past the time of their release, right? Yeah, but it's like all that churchy. But then he gave me hope. Okay, he told me, yeah, I know a friend of mine whose daughter voted for Trump too. I said, she a black woman? She said, yeah, she young too. I said, damn, that give me hope. That means some sisters with some sense out there that could bear some kids that voted for Trump. Because it's not about liking Trump. I actually do like Trump. Because a lot of y'all you trip me out. Y'all don't want to vote for the man. Y'all don't like the man, but I like Trump because I understand what's going on. Because, I'm going to talk about this. I know I'm all over the place. Damn, I'm all over the place. But let me talk about this Trump thing. This is very fascinating. Trump went to the Army-Navy game, right? He went to the Army-Navy game on Saturday at West Point. And there's a Fox News interview he did. Y'all should check it out. And Trump is so defiant. He is so resolute. He is so confident. I wish we as black people, so-called black folks, had the same type of confidence and resolve and commitment to what we want like Trump does. Because we lacking that as a people. Well, we had that type of resolve and commit. We would have got our tangibles by now. If black folks really believe in ourselves, if we really believed in ourselves, we would have got our tangibles by now. You best believe that. But Trump told the guy, look, he said the military budget was cut by 25%. The military didn't even have enough bullets for their guns. He said, I rebuilt the military. I reinvest in the military. That's what I did. And then somebody said, you know what, Mr. Trump, the reporter said, you the third president to attend the Army-Navy game twice while president. You know, the first president to attend the Army-Navy game was Theodore Roosevelt, one of Trump's heroes. No, Theodore Roosevelt was a big advocate, a big-time advocate for college football. You know, they're about to, what do you call it? Ban college football. They're about to get rid of football back in the day. A lot of people don't know that. And Theodore Roosevelt, you know, he said, nah, I want to save football. So he went out of his way to save football. So he attended the first Army-Navy football game back in 1901. And so they told Trump that the other two presidents were Harry S. Truman and George W. Bush. Now, mind you, think about that. It said Harry S. Truman and George W. Bush. These guys were wartime presidents. So that, to me, Trump revitalized, reinvested, rebuilt the military. He's not any wars. He have not declared war while he's been president, but he is in an internal war. So like a civil war that's about to happen. So I mean, so is he sitting cold by attending the Army-Navy game twice in tradition of a Truman and a Bush? Is he now becoming a wartime president during this time of election crisis? Is he willing to take on the enemies of the state, within the deep state? Is this what Trump talking about? And also at West Point, now get this, at West Point, you know, Benedict Arnold, the American Revolutionary War general and hero turned traitor to the American cause, right? He flipped sides like Darth Vader. He went to the dark side, to the British. And really, they all dark sides. But I'm just saying, he went to the other side. You know, he was a war hero for America. Then he sold out America. He wanted to sell West Point to the British. Now, you don't have to believe me. Take a look. It's all online. He wanted to sell West Point to the British during the American Revolutionary War. He ended up dying in England. He couldn't stay in America. So Trump is at the Army-Navy football game at West Point. And normally, this game is not played at West Point. So it's all type of codes being out there. You know, people talking about, well, the Electoral College met yesterday and they certified. Well, the mainstream media tell you that, but the alternative say, hey, you know, the dueling electors, that it was dueling electors selected yesterday to challenge the official narrative. So, but the mainstream and fake news ain't focusing on that. They talking about how it looks on the outside. But there's being challenges being made. There being lawsuits making its way through the courts from the state to the federal level. You got Alito and Thomas, they on code. So Supreme Court still gonna have a say in this regardless. Trump gonna let this play out. There is no reason to rush this thing. Biden has not been sworn in as president. Trump is still president, and Trump is taking care of business. Like I told y'all, when he played golf, it's not just playing golf, that's strategy. Trump is taking care of business. So Trump gonna do what Trump gotta do for him. What I'm saying, black folks must learn to do for ourselves what we need to do for ourselves. We should have that type of confidence and that type of commitment that Trump has to keeping himself in the White House. Now, my thing is, if Trump can stay in the White House, he need to make sure that Sidney Powell becomes the Attorney General. I have a lot of, I respect that white woman a lot. I do respect that white woman. I know she know how to use a gun. I can tell she know how to use a gun. She's from Texas. But she's like, to me, if Trump is JFK revenge, Sidney Powell is Dorothy Kilgallen's revenge. The woman who almost broke the JFK assassination case wide open. They killed her in the house. You know, Dorothy Kilgallen, the great journalist and TV personality on What's My Line. You know, people just Google that up. She interviewed Jack Ruby several times down in Dallas. She was about to come out with this book about the Kennedy assassination, and they killed her. Tell me she committed suicide. Yeah, right. They killed her. But I think Sidney Powell is Dorothy Kilgallen's revenge. I think she's doing it. She's a real patriot, and I'm cheering for her to win. Because like she's confident. Because it's weird. If you look at CNN, you think there's all Biden, but you look at Arizona, they just did the audit up in Michigan. They just did the audit, right, in Michigan. And also, you had a cybersecurity attack at the federal government level. So the federal government been compromised for months. So who to say they can't do what they can do? So if they could do that to a government, a federal government, what else can they do? I know you two don't want us to talk about this stuff on. I'm trying to work, but I'm saying I'm trying to get y'all mindset thinking different, right? I talk about Truman as well, right? I talked about Truman and Trump, but that Army Navy game was significant. That was significant. Trump was sending out signals, man. So I mean, y'all gotta do, and like, you know, I do what I can, but I'm only one person, man. Like people say, so you got a research team? I said, no, I just do all this myself. I don't have no research team. And no, I just do all this myself because I care about the people. And really, I didn't feel like getting on here today, but I wanted to add my 2 cents in here because I'm always sitting on something. Yes, the Kraken has been released. Sidney Powell, she's on the warpath, man. Trump, I like Trump, man. He's a New Yorker. He's from Queens. Queens about that money. You know, I look at Queens. Queens is an interesting place, man. You know, especially for hip hop. Trump is a rapper's delight. You know what I'm saying? Trump. I mean, you remember back in the day where rappers used to love rapping about Trump? Trump is from Queens. Who's from Queens? Run DMC, A.L.L. Cool J, Nicki Minaj, Ja Rule, Murder, 50 Cent, Queens, Nas. Come on, man. I think Donald Trump's daddy helped build Queensbridge, one of the largest, if not the largest project complex in America. They have more rappers per capita than any place in the country. You know, Noriega, all them guys, Queensbridge, right? Queensbridge. I remember I stayed by the Hojo, the Howard Johnson near Queensbridge, right across the street from Queensbridge. It's back in 2014. I met this brother named Baby Muhammad. Not Baby Muhammad, Brother Muhammad. His name was Brother Muhammad. Maybe no. His name was Brother Ali. And his son, he called his son Baby Muhammad. His son was a little, you know, a handsome young boy, a baby, maybe about 3 years old. Maybe, I think it was 3 years old. Baby Muhammad and Brother Ali. And Brother Ali, I told him I was from Memphis. This is outside of Queensbridge. He said, oh, man, son, I had met a woman from Memphis, gave me the Memphis blues, kid. She gave me the Memphis blues. I said, what'd she do to you? He said, man, you know, I was selling drugs, running drugs, man, trying to give her a lifestyle. You know what I mean? And I went down to prison down south, yo. I went down south to do my prison time. And she took the money, man, and ran away with my best friend, man. She gave me the Memphis blues, yo. I said, no, Memphis women something else, dude. Bill Cosby had a song called On the Train to Memphis, right? Check it out. Bill Cosby talking about how a Memphis woman had him going on a train, man. Look at Steve Harvey, his wife from Memphis, Marjorie. Gangster wife, man. Break a lot of Negro hearts. I mean, everywhere I go, I hear these Memphis blues stories about these women from Memphis breaking these Negroes' heart. I ain't saying all Memphis women, because all y'all don't got that magic like that. But I'm saying some Memphis women go around the country, get these stories. But talk about Harry Truman. You know, back in 48, Thomas Dewey from the governor from New York supposedly beat Truman in the 48 election. You know, there's a famous image of Thomas Dewey, of Harry Truman holding up an image of the headlines on the newspaper saying Dewey defeats Truman, but he's holding it up in triumph. He's holding it up in triumph. You know, he didn't lose. But they could have fixed the election back in 48. But Truman thought he was going to lose because he became outspoken about civil rights, right? He became outspoken about civil rights. He thought he was going to lose because he was the first president to speak at a NAACP gathering. He was the first U.S. president to speak at a NAACP gathering, and also he came out against the blinding war hero Isaac Woodard. So a black man on his way home got blinded by a sheriff in believe in South Carolina. They took him off the Greyhound bus and blinded him. So he was outspoken about that. He had his U.S. Department of Justice look into it, but the white sheriff got off. Because what happened to the black man, Isaac Woodard, and that's another story. I'm going to talk about these stories that y'all don't talk about. Isaac Woodard was just a war hero. He just came home in his uniform, right? On the Greyhound bus. He got into it, a little bit of verbal exchange with the bus driver. I think the bus driver at the next town pulled over somewhere in South Carolina and told the law enforcement dragged him off the bus, started beating him up all night, using their they sticks, them sticks they having, and they kept on poking him in the eye. They kept on poking him in the eye. and they were beating the hell out of him. So he had all type of injuries he sustained. So they just left him in the jail overnight and not sent him to the hospital. And so the next day, I believe, or next couple of days, they saw he was really bad shape and get out to the hospital, but they couldn't save his eyes. So he was blinded for life. So actually his fiance left him all that, but the NAACP raised money for him. I guess they helped support him for the rest of his life. But his life was over with, right? He was an invalid. They poke his eyes out. This is an American war hero. And so Truman heard about this. He was outraged. He said, what the hell? They do this man in uniform? Truman is interesting. All white people are racist. But Truman was from Kansas City, right? He was part of the Pendergast machine. Tom Pendergast was his sponsor. He ran the Kansas City political machine out there, the Pendergast machine. So Truman is interesting because he's probably the only president in the 20th century that didn't go to college. He only was a high school graduate. Truman didn't have no college degree. You think about it. The vice president he served on, he served for as vice president, the president that he served for, FDR, he went to Harvard University. He's from the blue, we call it blue bloods, right? Elites, the white elite. That was Franklin Roosevelt. And this old Truman, who was not even a college graduate, being able to become president on the death of Roosevelt. So he thought he was going to lose anyway. So, Truman did what Trump done. He went on a campaign, give him hell, Harry. Give him hell, Harry. That's what Trump did. Trump campaign. One thing about Trump in 2016 and 2020, he was on that campaign trail. When Biden was in the basement doing whatever he's doing, patting and sniffing kids and stuff, Trump was out there on the campaign trail, packing it out during this COVID-19 pandemic, right? So it's hard for me to believe that Biden got all these votes when he could barely get anybody to his drive-through rallies with A+ talent. He had celebrities stumping for him, but Trump could pack out a rally by himself. So you trying to tell me that this guy named Biden, so uncharismatic, just really old and tired looking, he got more votes than any candidate in U.S. presidential history? Man, get out of here with this crap. Even y'all who want Trump to get out the office know this BS. Y'all let this media manipulate y'all. But yeah, but that's the paper. That's a famous image of Dewey holding that. Dewey. God. Truman holding that newspaper. Dewey defeats Truman. So I'm looking at Trump going to be holding that in January. I might be holding it now. But yeah, y'all need to understand it's the TrumpGeist, man. It's the TrumpGeist. And also I want to add, well, I think all of them. Now, he didn't get no 80 million votes. I agree with y'all. He didn't get no 80 million. I think I'm all over the place. But I just wanted to share something with you all. I think I cover a lot that I want to get done. Let me see. Yeah, I guess some stuff I want to cover from last week or last stream, excuse me. I'm just trying to work my way around this stuff. But thank y'all for tuning in. If you like the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. Please subscribe. We all BTV. Support the movement. We all be in it to win it. The Cash App. I got the Zelle up now. You do the Zelle thing now. For K Duckworth, if he's out there or she out there, whoever he is or she is, I got that available now. But let me find something. I was talking about George Hunt, the blues artist, the visual artist George Hunt. And thank you, Sister Brooklyn. Thank you for coming through with the Cash App donation. And I don't know how many of y'all, let me see, send some shout outs. We love y'all madly. And who I want to say? Yeah, I was talking about the two Sonny Boy Williamsons, right? When I was talking about George Hunt, the great blues artist. I call him a blues artist because he loved blues, but he just used paint instead of a guitar or whatever to display his blues, his love of blues. But I don't think the Sonny Boy Williamson first picture came up correctly. So I just want to show y'all an image of Sonny Boy Williamson first. That's him. Blow it up. But I did tell y'all about that time when he approached the other Sonny Boy Williamson, the one who stole his name, because not only white folks can be culture vultures, you know. But he approached him in 1942, right, down in Helena, Arkansas, and Sonny Boy Williamson the second ran him out of town. I said Sonny Boy Williamson was a big dude. He was like a Harlem Wolf type of cat. He's over 6 feet tall, big hands, big feet. But that's the guy who he stole his name from. Now that Sonny Boy, I see his name is Johnny Lee Williamson, but he's known as Sonny Boy Williamson the first because he was the first one that started recording. He had a recording career before Sonny Boy Williamson too. I'm confused myself, but I'm letting y'all get it right. So he approached, like I said, he approached him in 1942. This Sonny Boy Williamson one. He approached the guy who stole his name, but the guy who stole his name ran him back to Chicago. And unfortunately, he got killed coming home from a gig in Chicago. I think got stabbed to death. He was a young guy. So his recording career is from 1937 to 48, and the Sonny Boy Williamson II was from the 50s until, I guess 65, the year he died. But both of these guys were amazing harmonica men, though. I mean, I like both of the guys' styles. Just check them out. Take a look. It's all online. You can listen to their stuff on YouTube. But we got to know these stories. But I just want to share that because I ain't shared his picture last time. I thought the screen shared it, but it didn't share it. So what else I want to talk about? And also, we talked about Oni Madden, the guy who ran the Cotton Club, who ran Hot Springs for decades. Bill Clinton's mama's employer. And also my friend George Hunt, when he was a little kid, had a shoe shine stand in front of his business, and he was confronted by Oni Madden. His boxer, Primo Carnera, the one he helped fix fights for, because he not only controlled Tammany Hall, but he also controlled Madison Square Garden. Back in the day, Madison Square Garden was the home of the boxing world. Everybody had to come through Madison Square Garden if you want to have a boxing career. So he controlled this boxer from Italy named Primo Carnera. What I wanted to say last week that Primo Carnera faced Jack Sharkey for his shot at the heavyweight championship title. And he beat Jack Sharkey. And Jack Sharkey is the only boxer in history to face off against Jack Dempsey and Joe Louis. And he lived a long time after boxing. He lived to be an old man. But he was able to face down Joe Louis and Jack Dempsey and survive to tell the tale. So I want to add that, to that as well. But I think I talked about, when I talk, I do a freestyle, like rapping. I don't have stuff planned out like a lot of people. I ain't used to doing PowerPoints and things of that nature. Thank you, Takara. B1, thank you for the donation. I appreciate y'all, man, because this stuff come in handy, man. It's hard for a black man. Like I said, I'm in Memphis, man. I see black men broken down. I remember I was at Kroger's. His brother was dressed up in all name brand stuff, right? He had all this name brand stuff on. He was looking good, but he was smelling kind of funny. He smelled funny. And so I was talking to him. He was talking to me. He said, hey, man, can you give me some money for a sandwich? I need a sandwich, man. I said, damn, but you, I said, look how you dressed, dude. You got name brand on, all this stuff. But you can tell you probably homeless because he's like the way he smelled. But it's a shame the brother was in his 20s though. And like the way he was looking, it's like he was already defeated. And I look at a lot of things going on, and it's a travesty. But talk about Dr. Kizzy and what's this vaccine stuff is interesting, and how they're using black women to really sell us this stuff. But you got to look about, even black women have been so abused and misused by this system. The father of gynecology, J. Marion Sims from South Carolina, he abused black women all in the name of science. They didn't give black women anesthesia back then. These black women had their wombs that's mutilated. Babies were mutilated, all in the name of science. This so-called father of gynecology. See, to us, like, they see black folks as either being subhuman or superhuman. These white supremacists either see us as being subhuman or superhuman. So they think black women can't feel no pain. Let me just rip her womb up. And that's what he did. He actually had this statue. I want to say, was it in Central Park? They had J. Marion Sims statue in Central Park for about over 100 years. They finally moved it to his resting place in Brooklyn, I believe, in the cemetery in Brooklyn. So y'all need to look at the history. Also, a good movie to watch. A good book to read is Medical Apartheid, of course, but also a good movie to watch to understand the horrors that Black folks had to endure is Farewell, Uncle Tom. Sometimes it's known as Goodbye, Uncle Tom, but I believe it's Farewell, Uncle Tom. Farewell, Uncle Tom. Watch the director's cut. It's online. You probably find it on YouTube or somewhere. But look at Farewell, Uncle Tom. It talks about all this stuff. And what it is like you had these documentary filmmakers, they go back in time. They were living in the present. I believe the present would be like in the 60s or 70s. It's like right after the King assassination. So they get some way to go back in time to find out how Black folks were living and how they suffered in America. So all these stories are based on newspaper articles and other primary sources like diaries and journals. So everything they showing you is based on actual facts. So they showed the scene with J. Marion Sims, and I believe they implied that J. Marion Sims was Jewish. Interest. But they also showed the sex farms. The late Dr. Patricia Newton, she talked about this on one of Tariq Nasheed's Hidden Colors documentaries about the sex farms in Maryland and Virginia, the high levels of incest in Maryland and that area today in DMV. You know how Monique talked about how her brother molested her and thought it was normal because he probably got molested. So we got a lot of incest in the Black community based on the trauma that we endured through that slave narrative, right? I believe a lot of us were already here, but just don't sell ourselves short. We could be from here and still been slaves. Here, some of us came from Africa. How did they get over here from Europe? So yeah, some of us did come from Africa. Some of us was already here for a long, long time. But I think it's like, damn, man, it's like we could both be right. Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Okay, so Black folks, we are so confused. So-called Black people. Now we all in these names, and I'm not Black, and I'm indigenous. Okay, it's fine, but you still catching hell. We all still catching hell. So they also talk about the sex farms and Farewell, Uncle Tom. They show the origin of the word MFer, right? It shows a guy screwing probably his mama or his sister or his aunt. This is normal practices. So we all just really kissing cousins. So you look at the history of this country, how they treat the Black woman's body. You had states back in the day. You had 21 states that could sterilize women against their consent without their knowledge. You know what I'm saying? You had Fannie Lou Hamer I talked about, who was the 20th child of her parents. She was sterilized by the state of Mississippi without her consent. I had met a woman 7 years ago when Cynthia McKinney called a meeting of Black activists down in Georgia. This sister from Sister Elaine Riddick from North Carolina, she was sterilized as a teenager without her consent. After she had her son, they sterilized her, the state of North Carolina. And she's still around. I need to put her on the show and have her tell her story. But this is not unusual. They always experiment on Black people, especially Black women and Black men. The Tuskegee experiment. But the thing about it is, what I'm talking about is, why are Black women selling us out? Not all Black women, but I'm just tired of this. That when people hear us talk about Black women and stuff like that we're making stuff up. Like my experiences every day with Black women. Like I said, they empower us, gatekeeping power. Black women are some of the most educated women in the country. I would say some of the most indoctrinated women, most indoctrinated in the country. And like I said, it is what it is. This is history. Like I have people call me, say, Brother Ron, the Black men is selling us out. I said, who's raising these Black men? That's why it's so important to take care of our women, to be good to our women, to support our women. It is important. But let's be honest. Tuskegee experiment, Eunice Rivers. Don't forget about her. HBO did a movie about her called Miss Evers Boys. They call her Eunice Evers in the movie. She was played by Alfred Woodard, who's married to a white man. I think I read somewhere Alfred Woodard said it was that white man that made her feel pretty. She never felt pretty before. I guess she was saying that all the Black men she encountered in her life never saw her as beautiful or pretty. They thought she was ugly. I never thought Alfred Woodard was ugly. She is pretty. But she said something like that in an interview. Y'all can look it up. I ain't gonna even try to post this stuff. I'm tired of trying to do all this PowerPoint mess. She said something like that. That the only time she ever felt beautiful was by that white man who called her who now claims as a husband. I don't know if she's still married, but there was a time she was married to a white man. But we don't want to talk about stuff like that. We don't want to talk about stuff like that. It's easy to crap on a black man. We are the least protected group of people in American society. It's easy to crap on a black man. Easy to kill a black man and use his body as a blood sacrifice for your causes. King D. Seals should be in Congress. No, but Cori Bush is in Congress. I remember I had a brother. I remember a brother from St. Louis, a prominent St. Louis activist who suffered a lot in this system, a black man. He said, "Oh, Cori Bush gonna be our Maxine Waters." I said, "I hope she don't be no Maxine Waters," who's from St. Louis, by the way. I hope she don't turn out to be another Maxine Waters. Lord have mercy. But then, can you imagine having somebody like King D. Seals in Congress? Strong, Taurus black man. He was a Taurus, like I am. He's a Taurus. Strong, stubborn, committed, loyal. No, they couldn't have him. They had to kill him at 29. See, our black men are not allowed to reach our prime. Like if you was real about the business, black man, you're not allowed to stand strong. Like, you know that what that Kendrick Lamar song, The Pimp a Butterfly or something, like, you know, he had that thing where he had Tupac on there and politics, like he would act like he was like had a situation where he was asking Tupac a question, even though this was an old interview that Tupac did overseas. But he acted like he was asking Tupac questions. And Tupac said that something to the effect that you gotta, as a black man, you gotta exhibit maximum strength when you're young, because by the time you 30 or 40, they break you, they buck break you. You broken as a black man by the time you're in your 30s or 40s. You broken. So he's like, you gotta exhibit maximum strength when you're young. But if your mind ain't developed until it's 26, is that a lot of wasted energy? See, they got Fred Hampton at 21. They didn't even let Fred Hampton make it to 26. And that's the threat of real black masculinity on the system. That's the threat of it. But yeah, you know, black woman is God, right? So if you God to me ain't above criticism. So somebody said this. Trump is smarter than what y'all think. He told y'all the game was rigged. Trump is a privileged white man. Y'all keep on thinking Trump got to know about black history. Y'all keep on thinking he don't know about so-and-so. Why should he know? He's a white man. This is a patriarchy system. A white male patriarchy system. You know why the white man succeeds? You know why the white man succeeds? Because he's not interested in respecting his mama. He does not respect it. He hates his mama. I used to love looking at The Sopranos, right? You know, James Gandolfini, may he rest in peace. He played Tony Soprano. Tony Soprano hated his mama. He was the most powerful mob boss and all this stuff, but he couldn't stand his mama. He hated his mama. And white women raise their sons to hate them. It's like Dick Gregory said, I could never be with a white woman because Frankenstein, Dracula, when the Wolfman came out her pussy. Anybody that can produce some type of people out their pussy, I can't be with. I'm scared of them. So the white woman trained they men to be barbarians, to be savages. So when he said I grab them by the pussies, they love that shit. That's why they voted for him again and again. They want that aggressive behavior. You know, because they're about race first. Because if you look at even her name Rebecca Latimer Felton, that's the white Georgia peach, the evil wench from Georgia who owned slaves, and she told white men back in the 1890s, you lynch 1,000 niggas a week if you have to protect white women. They know what they doing. Even the woman suffrage woman, even the woman suffrage movement, right? We had prominent white women. They said, I don't care about no vote. These were white women with prominent white men who produced prominent white families. They said, we don't care about the vote. We already got a position to influence our men. We influence our men anyway. Why should we have to vote when we could tell them how to vote? We could tell them how to vote. You know, black women pride themselves on being by themselves. Show me one black political leader, national black woman political leader that has a family. Who are they pushing? Okay, Stacey Abrams. They pushing Stacey Abrams. Where her man at? Where her children at? And 2 years ago, she probably did win for governor of Georgia. But where was the Democrats? You see, the reason why Georgia won't acknowledge Trump is because, look, Kemp was the Secretary of State, just like you got this current Secretary of State down in Georgia, who's Republican. They corrupt on both sides. That's why they can't stand Trump. That's why Sidney Powell, they can't stand Sidney Powell, because Sidney Powell, she ain't doing it for the Republicans or Democrats because they both corrupt. She wants the truth to come out and let the chips fall where they may. Kemp benefited from the same system that has benefited Biden right now. Why he want to fix something if it's working in their favor? He know he's corrupt. And they cheated Stacey. But well, Stacey cheated herself is when she put illegal immigrants over black people needs. When she said, I'm going to do this all for illegal immigrants, I'm giving them free schools and all this stuff, like they were citizens, neglected the constituents of your state who are not only citizens, but they folks built this country. See, you off cold, sister. So don't be surprised they make you the face of something they don't that you don't probably deserve, but it is what it is. But I'm saying, where are the black women? I mean, Keisha Lance Bottoms. Y'all know her dad was a famous R&B singer, right? Major Lance. His name Major Lance or something. Let me look him up. I think her dad was Major Lance Bottoms. Or maybe that's not his. Let me see. Oh God, that's the mayor of Atlanta, right? Yeah, daddy name was Major Lance. He was a famous R&B singer. I guess daddy was a Rolling Stone. He's from Mississippi of all places. Had a lot of kids all over the place. Major Lance, that's her daddy. That's Keisha Lance Bottoms' daddy. She's doing pretty well for herself. She got a family. But I'm talking about, like, look at how black people have been getting killed by the police in Atlanta. Killer Mike up there talking about, oh, please don't burn down Atlanta, please. My daddy was a cop. My cousin's a cop. But then you listen to Run the Jewels, Killer Mike. You talking about killing the cops. You got several lyrics like that, Killer Mike. But then when it comes to reality, you Pop Gun Mike. Pop Gun Mike. I like Killer Mike. I met Killer Mike. Dick Gregory he loved Killer Mike. A college classmate, they the official DJ for Run the Jewels. If I knew this back in 2014, I would have got in it. Man, I went to try to see Run the Jewels in DC back in 2014. It was the same weekend I saw Sun Ra for the first time. It was a Halloween weekend. And had I known that my college classmate was the DJ for Run the Jewels, I would have got in there for free because they were sold out. I didn't know, man. So yeah, I would, it's interesting, but he ended up hooking me up later on. Shout out to that good brother. But I'm saying that this is why Malcolm warned us about following weaponized celebrities. Like, what other group of people gonna follow comedians and trumpet players and singers as far as to revolution? Even Dick Gregory warned against that. He said, brother Ron, celebrities ain't gonna change the world. These, the people gonna change. It ain't gonna be no celebrity. He would call some of them pieces of shit and thugs. It's not gonna be them. They're gonna change the world. It's gonna be the people. Y'all looking at LeBron and them. I mean, I don't have no problem with LeBron as a basketball player, but I don't care for his politics. He kind of a little bit naive, or if he's not naive, he playing that game. So you can't trust these people, man. Let them entertain. Nobody didn't ask y'all opinion, nothing. Y'all ain't willing to pay their costs. Like Nick Cannon, they said Nick Cannon declared himself Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory had a lot of respect for Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon paid his respects to Baba. Came to DC after he was in St. Louis protesting. But Nick, you should know better, man. You married Mariah Carey. You know who her first husband was, Tommy Mottola. Michael Jackson said, he's evil. He's Satan. He's the devil. He's a gangster. I remember Michael Jackson had that press conference, and Al Sharpton was right behind him. As soon as Michael started talking about Tommy Mottola, Al was like, he's doing a cha-cha slide. Move it to the left. Move to the right. Move all the way back. MJ, they're going to get you. Al Sharpton. Property of the Genovese crime family. But anyway, allegedly. No, it's not even allegedly. They got the paperwork on Al Sharpton. But it's interesting, man. I didn't get all them votes. No, they didn't. But we can't talk about it on YouTube. You can't talk about all this on YouTube. But it's fascinating. Let me see. Yeah, but Keisha Lance Bottoms' dad was a famous R&B singer who was a Rolling Stone. He had a lot of kids. But be fruitful and ye multiply. But yeah, with Keisha Lance Bottoms, she let them kids get jacked up by the police down there, Spelman Morehouse, you know. Then that dude got killed at Wendy's, you know, by the cops. I'm just saying, come on, man. Atlanta, see, Sherman did Atlanta a favor when he burned it down the first time. He did it because it made the city better. It widened the roads and stuff like that. He should have burned down Nashville and made it better. But he burned down Atlanta. So ain't T.I. and Killer Mike, see T.I., they don't talk about in their lyrics. T.I. talking about doing home invasions and killing people. But yeah, oh no, don't burn down my business, player. Hold up, shorty. Don't burn down my business. See, I mean, shit, they should be voting for Trump then. It's like black Republicans to me. But anyway, let me see. And you know who replaced Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee, right? Where the Tuskegee experiment started. It was Robert Moulton. He was a product of Hampton Institute, right? And also he worked for the government. He was U.S. Army intelligence. So like somehow they scrubbed that. It's like you gotta really look for that, you know, because they ain't gonna talk about that in a lot of his biographies on Wikipedia. He was U.S. Army intelligence. So he took the place of Booker T. Washington. Woodrow Wilson sent them overseas to investigate how they were treating black men, black servicemen. You know what I'm saying? That stuff is real. Robert Moulton is an interesting character. He had 3 daughters. One of his daughters worked for the Lyndon B. Johnson administration. And he was Boule. He wasn't Omega. I don't see him being Omega. I think he was another group. But it started on his watch. The Tuskegee experiment started on his watch because he was president of Tuskegee from 1915 until 1935. And he died in 1940 in Virginia. But he actually was the grandson of an African chieftain who sold black folks into slavery. So his grandfather was of African royalty who made a profit off of selling black folks into slavery. And then they sold his black ass into slavery. And that's how they started the Moulton family. What goes around comes around. But let me get y'all hip on this Moulton cat. Let's see. Thank y'all for supporting. I think I learned something new. I'll be all over the place, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. This is Robert Moulton. That's him. I'm gonna give y'all some game on him a little bit. I'll make him the face of this. Robert Russell Moulton, born Sunrise, August 26, 1867, sunset, May 31st, 1940, was an American educator and author. He served as administrator at Hampton Institute. In 1915, he was named principal of Tuskegee Institute after the death of founder Booker T. Washington. See, Booker T. Washington did not found Tuskegee. He was appointed by the state of Alabama to head Tuskegee. Now, you got somebody, Mary McCall Bethune, who got the short clowns, but who was actually a very accomplished black woman. She actually founded Bethune-Cookman College. Probably only black people to find a HBCU, because all these HBCUs were started by white people or their respective states. But the state of Alabama actually founded Tuskegee. And Booker T. Washington was hired to be the head to lead that position. So, but Robert Moulton held that position for 20 years until retirement in 1935 as the president or principal of Tuskegee Institute. Robert Russell Moulton was born in Amelia County, Virginia, and was raised in nearby Rice, Prince Edward County, Virginia. He was the grandson of an African chieftain who had grown wealthy by engaging in slave trading. Later, this chief was himself sold into slavery, leading to the establishment of Moulton's family in the Americas shortly thereafter. You know, he graduated from Hampton Institute in 1890. Yada, yada, yada. Like I said, he was appointed by Woodrow Wilson to investigate the condition of African American soldiers. He often witnessed discriminatory practices. For example, during his investigation, Moulton was confronted by an American general regarding 26 alleged cases of rape by black soldiers. The general told Moulton that black soldiers were dangerous to themselves and women. Moulton challenged these allegations, suggesting discrimination was a motivating factor and encouraged black soldiers to protest against segregation when they returned to the U.S. So he encouraged them to protest, but yet at the same time, he was very accommodating, like Booker T. Washington. Like he was very accommodating. He said, "Don't fight back, just do your thing." But then he telling them to, you protest that. A lot of black soldiers were lynched when they came back home. You had the Red Summer. You had the Washington race massacre that happened during Red Summer that nobody talks about. Because you had actually U.S. military, white U.S. military and the police attacking black folks in D.C. for several days, and then the black folks started fighting back. You had teachers and stuff and veterans started shooting white folks down in the streets. And that's when Woodrow Wilson called in the National Guard to stop everything. After black folks started fighting back. Matter of fact, the father of Black History Week, or Negro History Week, became Black History Month. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, he witnessed a black man being lynched, and he hid for several hours. And he saw this black man being lynched by a white crowd. So there's a lot of history here. So what's also crazy, in 1922, he was the keynote speaker at the dedication of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., but was not allowed to sit with the other speakers. He's the keynote, but they would not even allow him to sit with the other speakers, I'm guessing, who were white. And in race relations, like my thing is, we got to heighten the contradictions. That's why you got to study history. Like I told you that he told the soldiers, y'all should fight for y'all rights when y'all get back home. All right, y'all fight for y'all rights. Y'all stand up for yourselves as men. But also, let me remind you all that Charles Hamilton Houston, who was the Jegna of Thurgood Marshall and the dean of Howard Law School and the first black editor of the Harvard Law Review. Now, Obama was the first black president of the Harvard Law Review, but Charles Hamilton Houston was the first black editor of the Harvard Law Review. This man was well educated, came from a good family, but he almost got lynched by American doughboys. I mean, white boys, white soldiers during World War I in France. They almost lynched him. He was an officer. They almost lynched the man in full uniform because the white women preferred the black soldiers with the monkey tails. Y'all look that up. But he almost got lynched. So, I mean, yeah, they were lynching brothers that came back home in full uniform. So in race relations, Moulton advocated accommodation, not confrontation. He firmly believed that the best way to advance the cause of African Americans was to convince white people of black people's worth through their exemplary behavior. Never wanted to rock the boat. He didn't fight segregation or challenge white authority. But he told the soldiers to do that, but now he won't do it. Okay. I mean, I gotta talk about this too, because people talking about Katrina, how they do black people, and it's on both sides of the aisle. Republicans and Democrats. Republicans are the wolves. Democrats are the foxes, but they both work together to keep the black person down, to keep the black man down by any means necessary. So let's talk about this incident. In 1927, the Great Mississippi Flood devastated the Delta. That's the Great Mississippi Flood of 1927. With the Mississippi flood waters covering the entire Delta, the Greenville, Mississippi levee was the only high, safe place for thousands of refugees. The vast majority of the people stranded on the levee were African Americans, and they were desperate for food, potable drinking water, and shelter. Instead of evacuating them, African Americans were virtually imprisoned on the levee and forced to work at gunpoint. The conditions in the Greenville camp were the worst of any refugee site. Think about the Devil's Punch Bowl down in Natchez during the Civil War. 20,000 black folks died because they wouldn't let them out. To avoid a scandal that would threaten Hoover's presidential ambition, not J. Edgar Hoover, but Herbert Hoover was a Republican president. Oh, he was wanting to be president at the time. Well, whatever. Hoover's friends urged him to get what they called the big Negroes in the Republican Party to quiet his critics, and Hoover turned to Robert Moulton for the job. Hoover formed the Colored Advisory Commission, led by Moulton and staffed by prominent African Americans to investigate the allegations of abuses in the flood area. I don't think Hoover was president at that time. Because you had, at the beginning of 20, you had Warren G. Harding. He died in office under questionable circumstances. He had Calvin Coolidge, who was supposed to have been black himself. He had some black in his background, former governor of Massachusetts, allegedly. So then you had Hoover, who was the president before Franklin Roosevelt. And this is what I want y'all to understand, So Hoover appointed this guy to the Color Advisory Commission. He's one of the big Negroes. See, they always got names on. Kennedy called them the Big Six back in the 60s. They the big Negroes, and we call them suckers today. The ones that were sitting around with Biden, they the suckers. Jive turkeys. They the big jive turkeys, y'all. The commission conducted a thorough investigation and reported back to Moulton on the deplorable conditions. Moulton presented the findings to Hoover and advocated immediate improvements to aid the flood's neediest victims, but the information was never made public. Hoover had asked Moulton to keep a tight lid on his investigation. In return, Hoover implied that if he were successful in his bid for the presidency, Moulton and his people would play a role in his administration. Unprecedented in the nation's history. Hoover also hinted that as president, he intended to divide the land of bankrupt planters into small African-American owned farms. Think about contract with Black America, what Ice Cube was trying to do. Think about Trump's platinum plan. They always making these promises on both sides of the aisle, right? Ice Cube had very good intentions. He really cared. It's like the people that investigated what happened to black folks during the Great Mississippi Flood of 27. They wanted justice for black people. I believe Moulton had very good intentions. He actually presented this to Hoover, who wanted to be president. That's Herbert Hoover. Okay. Motivated by Hoover's promises, Moulton saw to it that the Color Advisory Commission never revealed the full extent of the abuses in the Delta, and Moulton championed Hoover's candidacy to the African-American population. However, once elected president in 1928, Hoover ignored Robert Moulton and the promises he had made to his black constituency. In the following election of 1932, Moulton withdrew his support for Hoover and switched to the Democratic Party. Roosevelt was no much better. You know what I'm saying? See, so none of these people really care about black people. Moulton was willing to sell out black folks to support a candidate that made a promise he was not willing to keep. Sounds too damn familiar. Look at our black leadership today. Boule. Look what they done and have not done for black people. Same situation. So really, it doesn't make a difference who's president if we don't have leadership with backbone and demand. Like the people did that research for the Color Advisory Committee or Commission, whatever, and they handed that to Moulton in good faith that he would get that to Hoover, but Hoover told Moulton, don't worry about it, I'll suppress it. When I'm president, it's like Woodrow Wilson. A lot of black leaders thought that Woodrow Wilson was going to be the next coming of Lincoln. And boy, were they wrong. Black folks not really good at this presidential politics thing. All these empty promises that these folks make, right? But Joe Biden already told them, look, I'm not getting y'all nothing. Ain't anything y'all gonna do for y'all. Y'all get on down here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Joe Biden treating black boule leadership like Vin Rames in Pulp Fiction when he was at that pawn shop getting bent over. That's how they treating black leadership. Democrats ain't doing a dang thing. And then Kamala Harris is the #1 prison warden. She's a prison warden. Oh, can't wait to see she be president. What she gonna do, right? Y'all just all too happy. Too happy for your pappy. Too happy for your pappy. But it is what it is. But Moulton was a member of the Gamma Sigma graduate chapter of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, along with George Washington Carver, who was a longtime professor at Tuskegee, and he was castrated by his former slave master because they didn't want him to sleep with the daughter. Go do yourself a favor, listen to some George Washington Carver's audio online. It's interesting, high-pitched voice. But yeah, but a lot of times they ain't gonna mention Robert Moulton's tied to U.S. Army intelligence. He was a spy for the government. Like some of the founders of the NACP were spies, informants and stuff. So it is interesting, the life we lead. But I'm going to talk about Eunice Rivers a little bit as well. I think we talked about her, but, I don't know. Thank y'all for having the patience to tune in. Because, the person that supposed to replace Booker T. Washington was his personal assistant, Emmett Scott. He was also sent overseas to find out what they were doing to black soldiers overseas. Because there was a rumor going around that the Red Cross nurses were allowing black soldiers to die. They were not treating the black soldiers well, and they were allowed to die. So that was a rumor. So I talk about Eunice Carter, the black woman lawyer, DA, under Thomas Dewey. They brought down Lucky Luciano. Her mother went over there with her friend to investigate what was going on with black soldiers. So why are we fighting for a country that won't fight for us? They disrespect us every turn. They'll lynch us in full uniform. For keeping the world safe for democracy. This stuff is insane. So let's talk about Sister Eunice Rivers. Interesting time to be alive. If y'all bored with your life right now, you ain't living life right. There's always some crazy stuff going on in my neck of the woods. That's Eunice Rivers. She's like a little innocent black lady, right? Innocent black lady. But boy, she was nurse of death for decades. That's Eunice Rivers in her older years. But she was the nurse of death in the younger years, right? So we got to tell the truth, y'all. You got to tell these truths. It's very important. Thank you, Steve Mayfield, for the donation at the Cash App. Appreciate you. We love you madly. Let's talk about Eunice. Let's talk about Sister Eunice. That's the lady that was the face of the Tuskegee experiment. The black woman that was allowing black men to die unnecessarily so. Because the penicillin was discovered, in the 40s? The cure for syphilis. And yet they let these black men die and pass the disease on to their wives and girlfriends and stuff like that. Rotting them from the inside out. That's what this government does. The same government that gives smallpox to the Native Americans through the blankets, right? Same government that take back 40 acres and a mule, right? This is America. This is America. But Eunice Rivers Laurie, sunrise 1899, November 12th, 1899, sunset August 28th, 1986. I heard somewhere that when people die in August, that means you have unfinished business. Like if you die in August, that means you could reincarnate easily. That's why I read that somewhere. If that's true, let me know. If you die in August, and Dick Gregory died in August. Emmett Till died in August. Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois died in August. So many folks died in August. But I'm saying it normally means you have unfinished business. That's what somebody told me and what I read. I don't know if it's true. So much stuff out here. Eunice Rivers Laurie was an African-American nurse who worked in the state of Alabama. She is best known for her work as the coordinator of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment from 1932 to 72. That's 50. Well, how long is that? 40 years? She was doing that for 40 years. I mean, she was able to sleep at night. 40 years. She had a good conscience about this? Interest. Wow. Born into a farming family in rural Georgia in 1899, Eunice Rivers was the oldest of 3 daughters. Okay. Her mama died when she was 15. Father was a proponent of education, encouraged her to become a nurse. He wanted all 3 of his daughters to have adequate schooling, working long hours at the sawmill to help finance their studies. So she came from a good black man. So why would you want to poison and undermine your people? If your father was like a good brother, we had 3 daughters, he wanted to make sure to get educated. And she said her mama told them before she died at 15, when she was 15, get a good education so she wouldn't have to work in the field so hard. She graduated from Tuskegee Institute School of Nursing in 1922. Okay. Started working at Tuskegee in 1923. And okay, she actually technically was an employee of the Alabama Bureau of Child Welfare. Beginning in 1926, the state transferred her to working with the Bureau of Vital Statistics, where her projects included improving birth and death registration, regulating and training in midwives, and reducing infant mortality. She was instrumental in creating a system that tracked the number of births and deaths in the state of Alabama. She also helped to regulate the lay midwifery and lower infant mortality rates. As an aside, she continued to work with the movable school, traveling around Alabama, but this time focusing on pregnant women and midwives. Okay. While at the movable school, she was constantly integrated in the community, visiting patients throughout the state's counties. In the first year, she visited over 20 counties and was noted for tending to 1,100 people during a particularly busy month. This work also included substantial amounts of travel to interact with African Americans in rural Alabama. Okay, the movable school, I believe, was part of Tuskegee Institute and provided adult education programs in agriculture, home economics, and health. So as a result of this traveling work, she became a trusted health authority for African American farming families in the area around Tuskegee, Alabama. So I mean, so she had a connection with the community. I see why they trusted her now, because she had that connection with the community. She said she had pretty good bedside manner, especially got to handle over 1,000 patients in 1 month. That's crazy. It's like she was very much a people's person. Had good bedside manner, so it made her very effective at her job of betraying people, because people trusted her. The community trusted her. So it makes sense that she would be the face of this Tuskegee experiment, the Trojan horse or whatever. Mm. Beginning in 1932, Rivers worked in the United States Public Health Service on the study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male in Macon County, Alabama, popularly known as the Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment. She recruited 600 African American men with syphilis for the study and worked to keep them enrolled as participants in the program. In return for their participation, the study offered participants free medical care, which Rivers provided. Rivers was the experiment's only consistent full-time staff member. Wow, even other folks couldn't stay the marathon. She stayed the whole time, full-time. She made a living off the suffering of Black people. Sound like a white person to me, or white supremacist. Although the study was initially planned to run only 6 months, it eventually extended to 40 years. Wow, she was very good at her job. They gave her a whole career destroying the health of Black people. During the entire study, the participants were not informed that the ailment they called bad blood was actually syphilis. When the study started, salvarsan and neosalvarsan were the only available treatments for syphilis, and both compounds had dangerous side effects. However, even after the 1940s, when the discovery of penicillin offered a reliable and safe cure for the disease, study participants still did not receive treatment for syphilis. After the New York Times and Washington Post revealed that the study participants had been allowed to suffer rather than receiving a known safe treatment, the Public Health Service ended in 1972. And it's funny how when newspapers do what they're supposed to do, when the media informs the public that things can really change, that's why having independent Black media is important in times like this. So it only ended because white folks' newspaper got involved and exposed it. So they allowed this thing that initially supposed to be in 6 months go on for 40 years, excuse me. And really, this Black woman did not even have a conscience. Yet you can't explain it. I mean, you allowing these men to die and all this stuff. So this is crazy. Historians have offered a variety of interpretations for why Rivers continued her role in a project that, by modern standards of medical ethics, was completely unethical. Once the news of the unethical treatment of participants in Tuskegee study was exposed in 1972, Rivers retreated into silence. Interesting. Such a lively person in the community. Now she's silent. Some see her primarily as a dedicated nurse, willing to follow any orders to keep treating her patients. Others see her as a race traitor who used her education and class power to keep her job and sell out the rural man she was caring for. There is evidence for both narratives. Just as she was crucial in recruiting and keeping participants in the study, she also provided them with both medical and mental care that otherwise would not have received. She listened to their complaints, suggested ways to gain assistance outside of the hospital, offered them comfort, and provided simple medication such as vitamins. Wow. She helped establish the Miss Rivers Lodge, which provided the men's families financial assistance for burials in exchange for the man's participation in the study. So she paid for their funerals without any problem. I bet. Wow. Her actions provided the men with more treatment opportunities for other conditions than they had previously received from health professionals. Okay, but still though, they didn't cure the syphilis, which really, I mean, yeah, I have a toothache or I had had the flu or something. I got syphilis. Which one needs to be cured first? So she allowed them to be poisoned like this. And then I guess she had enough of a conscience to pay for their funeral. So you're going to treat me like a lab rat or guinea pig and a fool and then pay for my funeral. Wow. Oh, she's such a wonderful philanthropist. Y'all, but she's an old black woman. You know how many people that are old, that are horrible human beings? People that kill people. Look at Carolyn Bryant. Kill people. Get away with it. Y'all think, oh, she's just a nice old lady. Oh, a Nazi war criminal. Oh, he's just a nice old man. Like, come on, man. Just because it's probably old, they should be held accountable. Care how old you are. If you did something that was horrible, you should be held accountable. This woman was a race traitor. And the sad thing about it is she had a black man in her life, her father, who provided a great example of what a supportive black man is, who loved women. Only a person who hates black men could do this. Where are her kids? Was she married? Did she have a black man? Oh, okay, yeah. His name was Julius Laurie. What type of man was Julius Laurie? Was he even black? I'm just curious. I know she lived in Alabama for adult life, but I just don't know. You understand? So these are questions that need to be asked for. Her name should be widely known, but it shouldn't take me doing an hour show to get this information. Y'all can just go online and research her and share it in your networks about this person. Because we got Dr. Kizzy, right? Dr. Kizzy. Is she a race traitor? Is she the reincarnation of Eunice Laurie? I don't know. How old is this sister? I'm on the show, my man. I'm on the show. People calling me. I don't know why. I don't even talk to that many people in a day, man. I'm really like a monk. I'm a loner. But I got a lot of friends, it seems, when I'm doing stuff. But yeah, they don't even talk about her, man. They did the movie Miss Evers Boys, Alfre Woodard, Lawrence Fishburne. But we didn't know about traitors like her. Black women are powerful, man. If black woman is God, hold God accountable. Why, God? Why? I'm looking forward to the emails and texts I get. Yeah, but it's interesting because even I saw this documentary about strippers, right? And in Atlanta, and they're talking about how strippers could make you a hit. Like you saw that movie, that show P Valley. My classmate, Brandy Evans, she plays as Mercedes. But they show you how the strippers decide if your song gonna be a hit or not. So if the stripper want to gyrate and move her body parts and go up and down a pole, I mean you got a successful song. So the power of black women to detect hit songs and the poison black men is just interesting. I think about who won Woman of the Year, Breakfast Club, Cardi B, right? So to me, Cardi B deserved it because he represents what's going on with a lot of our black women right now. and she's not even black, or she don't even want to claim black, but yet black women embrace her, and she hate black women. I don't know, man. You know, we living in some interesting, confusing ass times. So yeah, brother Ron, you talking bad about the sister? You talk like this Eunice Rivers. Well, I talked about Alberto Dale Jones. Y'all don't remember her? Talk about Eunice Carter. Do y'all remember her? You understand? So it's balanced over here. You know, people, I be reading stuff when y'all going in on the sisters, and I'm going on black men too, and the sisters. So what? You don't have to be on the show. I mean, you don't have to listen to the stuff I'm saying, but this is like, y'all learn something every time I do these type of things. I think I'm teaching myself. I'm learning at the same time. So Eunice Rivers, never forget. Then you look at Henrietta Lacks. What happened to her? They destroyed that black woman and took her damn DNA without her consent. And her folks in Baltimore still can't afford no health insurance. Her descendants suffering without health insurance. And yet yet she at 29 died, and yet her cells live forever, and made a whole bunch of white pharmaceutical companies rich and wealthy beyond their imagination. Where are them at giving her family any type of financial assistance or reparations? You had Rebecca Skloot. I think her name Rebecca Skloot. She used to be a writing professor at University of Memphis. Memphis is a very powerful place. Rebecca Skloot was a University of Memphis writer, a professor of writing, I believe, or English or something. She wrote the book The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, which became an HBO movie produced and starring Oprah Winfrey. That happened several years ago, but her family, Henrietta Lacks' family in Baltimore, is still suffering. And that stuff happened at Johns Hopkins University. Now people just found out Johns Hopkins was a slave owner or some stuff like that. So what? They all slave owners. Who do you think started Ivy League schools? Slave owners. To send their stupid sons somewhere where they can be educated. Who do you think started HBCUs? Slave owners for their mulatto children. So it's a slave owning society. We all slaves by choice. We just slaves by another name. Now y'all don't know yet, but y'all gonna know it if y'all can survive into 2021. Y'all gonna feel that slavery, especially who's in the White House, whoever they're gonna be. But yeah, so don't forget about Eunice Rivers. I don't care how old and grandmotherly she look in this picture. This woman did a lot of damage to black people. Black folks cost hell because this black woman sold out black people. And you got to think about it. She might have had 600 men she enlisted, but think about the things it done to their families, the diseases and shit they pass on to the next generation. Like I talking about Legionnaire disease with Flint. You can't get lead out the body, and lead affects your behavior. We wonder why black folks be acting crazy in the inner city, and they pass that on to their kids. Like for example, in Memphis, I ain't gonna never get tired to talk about this in Memphis. We got the Kellogg plant, right? Kellogg's, the cereal place. They got a plant by the old Army depot in South Memphis. Now, people protested to keep that plant open. Well, what people don't know, or people don't care about, is the fact that the old Army depot got all type of chemicals in the ground. They got all type of chemicals leaked in the ground that causes cancer. Both my grandparents lived in a neighborhood near their Army depot. Both of them died from cancer. A lot of our neighbors in that community died from cancer. It's a black neighborhood by the railroad tracks. You hardly see any stray animals over there, but yet they're making cornflakes over there, and this gets sent throughout the world. These cornflakes. So they don't care about people. Y'all talking about vaccinations? They don't give a damn about you, what you eat or drink, or what you breathe. We just all this lab rats and guinea pigs to be experiment on. The Nazis did not lose World War II. They came to America. Operation Paperclip. They came into Big Pharma. They went into U.S. intelligence. They went to the space program. They went to education, all areas of human activity. Well, Kobe Bryant, he lived in Orange County, right? I don't know. It was in Orange County he lived in. Don't you know a lot of Nazis after World War II went to live in Orange County, California, one of the wealthiest counties in America? I remember reading about Lena Horne, where she would not sing at some of these so-called, we call them USO shows, whatever, USO tour shows, because they had the German prisoners of war sitting in front of the black soldiers. The black American soldiers had to be a second-class citizens to their damn prisoners of war. These Nazis had more privileges from America than damn black GIs who were born in America, who folks built the country, who are now fighting to protect the country. I just talked about Isaac Woodard, who got blinded by a sheriff in full uniform, just came from overseas, medals on his chest, getting treated like garbage. Okay? This is where we at. So I'm wrapping it up. I gotta go to work. I hope y'all got something out of this. Cause like I said, I don't plan a lot of these things. I have a lot on my mind, and there's so much to cover, and the news cycle goes so fast, and people attention spans are so dang short. But I want to thank y'all for being patient, for listening, for all those who supported with the donation and all that thing. Really appreciate it. We love you madly. I think that's about it. I want to leave with this picture. We got to hold her accountable. Dr. Kizzy, I saw them tweets you did. You talked about genocide, that they're using vaccines to kill black folks, right? But at the same time, you want to marry Ken. You put down the black man. I hope he ain't another Eunice Rivers. I hope he ain't another Nurse Rivers. I really do. And if you are, we must hold you accountable. Because like I said, y'all say black woman's God. So she a God creating this vaccine to treat her people. But she got to be held accountable. Ain't nothing to it. About all the conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But yet, you know, if she ain't part of the solution, then you know good well she's part of the problem. But time will tell. Time will most definitely tell. Time will tell. And we got to hold ourselves accountable as black people, because we all we got. Nobody else is going to take up our cause or help us out of this situation. You know, we got to be responsible. You got to be responsible. We got to start using our third eye. Don't be so blinded by this BS that you can't see truth for what it is. Because truth is staring you in the face every day. And it's your choice. It's your decision to see it or not. But it will be dealt with. Because truth does not play favorites. It doesn't. It is what it is. It's about being about the business. So y'all remember Dr. Timothy Cunningham, right? Y'all do remember him, right? Or we got short attention span. So you know what's interesting? Dr. Kizzy Corbett was born January 26, 1986. And Eunice Rivers, Nurse Rivers, died August 28, 1986. So Eunice Rivers died in 86. Dr. Kizzy was born in 86. Right? But y'all do remember Dr. Timothy Cunningham down there at the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, the epidemiologist, who allegedly trying to warn black folks about vaccinations and all this other stuff. They found him floating in the river down in Atlanta back in 2018. So I'm going to bring him up as much as I can, because it's weird, because allegedly he was up for a big promotion. He didn't get it. And he went missing, and they found him. But the CDC said they gave him the promotion. They said, we did give him a promotion. But his family and even the police said he was not given the promotion. And then the CDC said something like, you think that we would have killed him because he knew too much? His security clearance wasn't high enough. They said something like that. The CDC said something like that. It said, why would we kill him? His security clearance is not high enough to be killed. So, man, that's weird that the CDC would say something like that. But, they said he was talking about how they were using black folks as lab rats and guinea pigs. Next thing you know, he disappeared. Left his dog behind, unaccounted for. I believe left his wallet and keys in the house. So his family was concerned. I believe his family, his mom and dad lived in Maryland. So they drove down from Maryland to Georgia to find out what happened. Thank you, Brother Willie Walker, Brother Michael Dickerson, for y'all donation. So, but we don't talk about Dr. Timothy Cunningham. See, and even she said there was conspiracy against killing black folks. There was systemic genocide. She joked about it, I guess, in her tweets, but now it's hidden. Kizmika Corbett, well, I call her Dr. Kizzy. But yeah, that's it for now, man. Hell, I think I did all right. But remember Kizzy from Roots? She was very educated, but she still was a, you know what? At the end of the day, they didn't care if she could write and read. They still treat her like you know what. So that does it, family. Getting kind of hoarse in my you know. I hope that you love the words or like something that I said from Brother Hurd. Please spread the word. Subscribe. YouTube, We All Be TV. Funny, my subscribers things keep on falling off. It's like I'm losing a lot of subscribers. I don't know what that's about. It is what it is. I don't really care at this point. But I want to thank you all. If you have received this information, if it could be useful in your own journey and research, by all means, use it and teach your people, teach yourself. Each one, teach one. Very important stuff, man. Thank you all for being very patient with me. It's been an interesting ride this 2020, but know that the best is yet to come. I'm about to do a great reset show soon. I want our people to strive and to survive. Not only to survive, but also strive and thrive, you know. So thank you all. You can buy Artivist art, r2c2hu.com. Got my Black Jesus shirt on. You can wear Artivist art. Go down to that shelf below the description to our official Teespring, R2C2H2 place. Also, you can support the We All Be Info movement because knowledge is the currency of the universe. You can do the Cash App, $R2C2H2. You PayPal and Google Pay. That's R2C2H2 at gmail.com. Do Vimo at R2C2H2. And now Zelle by popular demand. Either send to the email R2C2H2 at gmail.com or to the phone number area code 901-299-4355. Thank you all, family. In the words of the great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing. I'm out. One love.